the NBC television network.
Next on NFL Live.
You got to show up, and unless they carry off, you got to show up.
Bill Parcells' health is almost back to normal, but he says he'll consider his future at the end of the season. I talked to him about that.
Some reports have Ronnie Lott of the San Francisco 49ers out for the rest of the season. Don't count on it. I'll have the details.
I'm not in competition with Bruce Smith. I don't play for the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo's Bruce Smith believes he's become the league's top defensive player, but LT is unconvinced by BS. Bruce Smith, that is. We'll have more on Smith's claim. Plus, Eagles coach Buddy Ryan will join us, along with Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh, all just ahead on a special Saturday edition of NFL Live. Rainy Giants Stadium in the New Jersey Meadowlands is the site for today's test of NFC dominance as the Giants host Buffalo, this season's apparent premier team in the AFC. Welcome to our NFL Live studio in Manhattan. Bob Costas, along with Will McDonough. O.J. Simpson is at the stadium, and in fact, it's a battle for pride, at least according to New York Newsday. This is the back page headline. It's for AFC pride. Buffalo trying to prove that not only are they the best team in the conference, but that they're a team capable of playing with the best of the NFC. They own a victory over the Eagles. They go today against the Giants. Some people think that if they make it to the Super Bowl, they've got a chance to be the AFC's best representative in that game in years. O.J., as we said, is at the site of the game between the Giants and the Bills. So let's send it right now back across the Hudson River and check with the Juice live. O.J.?
Well, from the scorching sands of Saudi Arabia to the freezing rain here in Giant Stadium, I want to thank you guys for all these fun locations you're sending me to. As you can see, it is pouring down raining here, and it's about 33 degrees. Now, if there's an advantage there, it should go to the Giants because they have a power, straight-ahead running game featuring Otis Anderson, where the Buffalo Bills rely on the jitterbug style of Thurman Thomas. Now, I talked to Thurman, and I talked to Otis, and they both felt that the field is in pretty good condition, but you really can't tell until you get into the heat of battle. As far as Bill Parcells' health is concerned, I had a chance to speak to him, and he said he feels fine, but I sat down with him yesterday, and that is what you would expect him to say. He doesn't want his team to have any distractions. He only wants them to be concentrating on the Buffalo Bills, Bob.
All right, Juice, we'll check back with you in a few minutes. The Giants and Bills have identical 11-2 records, but the Giants have clinched the NFC East. Buffalo leads Miami by a game in the AFC East, although Buffalo, along with the Dolphins, have clinched a wild card spot at least. Will, your thoughts on this one upcoming today?
Well, I think it's been very tough for the Buffalo coaching staff this week. They don't want to get caught up in those headlines, and this is the biggest game because they got Miami next week. But at the same time, they want to win this game today. They know what great momentum their team would have beating the Giants and then going home to play Miami.
What kind of chance do you think they have to do it?
I think they got a good football team. More and more coaches in this league are saying Buffalo can now play with the best teams in the league, and they haven't said that about an AFC team in a long, long time.
All right, Will. Well, with the Bills' division lead and the Giants' hopes for home field advantage, slim hopes at this point, but both those things are at stake today. The game is obviously important to both clubs. Added to that is Buffalo's opportunity to enhance the AFC's status with a victory today. That reputation is clearly on the mind of Bills defensive end Bruce Smith, the league leader in quarterback sacks. During a Wednesday conference call with the New York media, Smith said that national acclaim is his due because he, not Lawrence Taylor, is now the top defensive player in the NFL. What's truly interesting here is that Smith may be capable of backing his words up with his actions on the field.
I've been watching a lot of film. I watch film, defensive film, and I watch offensive film. And some of the things that I've done out there on the field, I haven't seen anybody do yet this year, so I think I deserve some credit.
Bruce Smith is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. You know, if he's not first, he's in the top one.
I'm not in competition with Bruce Smith. I don't play for the Buffalo Bills. I could care less what he does for Buffalo Bills. I play for the Giants, and I try to give them the best chance to win. And it's simple as that. You know, we we're not in competition with each other.
You can't take anything away from Lawrence Taylor. I think over the last 9-10 years, he's been the most dominant defensive player in the league. He's the guy that does it all. And I think right now, it's just time to give some other people some credit. And I think, speaking of myself, I deserve the credit right now.
Smith's 19 sacks, more than twice Taylor's total, lead the NFL. Smith certainly won respect from Jeff George last week with 4 first-half invasions of the Indy backfield.
You know, no matter who's out there trying to block a Bruce Smith, I don't care if you're the best in the league, you're not going to stop him.
The last play I believe I was in, I broke free somehow, and he saw me coming. He said, "Oh."
Yes, pleasant family fare during this Yuletide season. Besides leading the league in sacks this year, Smith needs just 4 more to set a new single-season NFL record, but keep in mind the records have only been kept officially since 1982, so we don't know how many a guy like Deacon Jones might have had, for example, in the glory years with the Rams. Eagles coach Buddy Ryan had the unenviable task of having to prepare his team for both Bruce Smith and Lawrence Taylor this season, and with mixed results. Philadelphia split the Giants series and lost to Buffalo in Buffalo 2 weeks ago. Earlier, I asked Buddy Ryan to compare the two teams.
Well, I think the Giants will win. I think overall they're a better team when you take the, offense, defense, and special teams into consideration.
Buffalo's offense, especially early on in their game against you a few weeks ago, really clicked. Kelly put, I think, 24 points on the board in the first quarter, so they were hot against you.
Well, you can't take that, so many bad things happen. They threw 2-yard passes and ran 90 yards for touchdowns. I mean, those things don't happen with missed tackles. They got 6 points the last 3 quarters, so I believe the Giants will win the ball game.
What about a comparison between Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith? Obviously, they don't play the same position, but the talk this week has been that Bruce Smith feels he's the league's best defensive player right now.
Well, he's a great player. There's no question in my mind about that, and we had a tough time with him. The big reason was the crowd noise. We had to go on a silent count, and so he was going on the same count we were, and he was getting off better than we did. So we had a tough time with him. He's a great player, no question.
You've played a couple of AFC teams in the last few weeks on the road each time, in Buffalo, in Miami, lost both games. Do you think at least the top teams in the AFC now are a little bit closer to the NFC than maybe the past few years?
Well, I think that's true. I believe particularly Buffalo, I think, is more of an NFC-type team.
In what respect? Because they're physical?
Well, they're more physical, yeah. They play, a tough brand of football on both sides of the ball.
Of course, in any discussion of the league's great defensive players, somebody is sure to mention Buddy Ryan's own Reggie White. The Meadowlands is not an unfamiliar venue for the Bills, who play the Jets there each year as part of the AFC East schedule. But when the Giants are hosts in the stadium of the same name, the atmosphere is decidedly different. For Bill Walsh's 49ers, the land of the Giants was sometimes downright inhospitable. In the 1986 playoffs, San Francisco was demolished 49-3, and Joe Montana suffered a concussion on this brutal hit by Jim Burt. It was the most lopsided loss of Walsh's 49er career. But the following season, during the players' strike, Walsh surprised everyone by taking a page from the college playbook and running the wishbone, getting the most out of his replacement players. Even Bill Parcells found it amusing. And for at least once in his life, Bill Walsh was without a comeback. Let's hope he's not similarly flabbergasted here, since he's got the microphone in his hand, working with Dick Enberg. Dick, your thoughts along with those of the father of the wishbone in the NFL, Mr. Walsh.
I don't know. I've seen his picture in the paper more the last 2 weeks than Saddam Hussein, but let's put this in perspective by checking past recent history. Not good news for Buffalo Bills fans. They're looking for home field, cold weather advantage, December and January. Yet, since Jim Kelly, the quarterback, took over in '86, they've won only 4 of 10 games, while the Giants have enjoyed 14-4. And we talk about Smith looking for that notoriety nationally. How about Thurman Thomas, the quiet halfback? All that Thomas has done in his 3rd year is lead the NFL in rushing and pass receiving yardage, total yardage from scrimmage, and he led last year, and that also a well-kept secret.
Well, he's not only the best all-purpose back, he's one of the great runners in the game. Now, this is the style they're using, stretching the defense out, using his speed to the outside, but at the same time affording a chance to break back between people, and this really concerns the Giants because they believe they do lack team speed in their front 7, and this guy could really stretch it out. On the other hand, you fake the run with Thomas, and then look down the field for the big play by Kelly to Lofton or Reed, and then come back to Thomas as an outlet. In this case, Kelly moves to his right, locates Thomas. Thomas, with his fine hands, he gets 8 or 10 yards out of a play that a year ago would have been an incomplete pass.
Well, Bill Parcells told us he thinks defense first. That's what wins championships. How do you defend Thomas?
Well, Belichick, the coordinator of the Giants, is going to have people located outside everybody, coming to the inside, Taylor and Banks in particular, to cut him off. Because once he gets outside on this surface, even on a day like this, he can have a great afternoon.
And for the Giants, Bob, they will counter with a halfback that likes to catch the pass as well. He leads the Giants, Dave Meggett, and tough on those kick returns as well. That kickoff about 20 minutes away. Robert?
All right, Dick and Bill, thanks a lot. Coming up, O.J. talks with Bill Parcells, who spent the week planning ways to beat Buffalo, along with making a few trips to the hospital. That's next as NFL Live continues.
NFL Live is brought to you by Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares for Christmas shopping. By your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by Reebok, it's time to play.
Yes?
Our guests are arriving. When will you be here?
Almost finished.
Okay, but hurry.
That'll do it. Got the report done for the office.
The Tandy 1000 TL2, powerful enough for business, affordable and easy enough for the whole family. Specially priced for Christmas, save $200. Only at Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares for Christmas shopping.
This year, give him one of the legends of the sea. Old Spice Aftershave Cologne and Gift Packs. Now being shipped in time for the holidays. So give him the clean, classic scent of Old Spice and celebrate goodwill toward men.
It starts with the right attitude. For the Star, Starter Sportswear.
I see you've selected the ultimate adventure. Vehicle preference?
Toyota 4x4, the black one.
Excellent choice. Oh no, we've lost another one.
1991 Toyota 4x4, the ultimate adventure.
Bill Parcells and Marv Levy sharing a moment before heading out into the rain today at the Meadowlands. And, of course, O.J. is well accustomed to this kind of football weather based on his years with the Buffalo Bills. Let's go back to him at the Meadowlands right now. O.J., how is Bill Parcells feeling after all his difficulties this week with kidney stones?
Well, as I said, he don't want to talk about it too much. You know, Bob, they say that the pros play hurt and that leadership is by example. Well, in this very stadium last week, Bill Parcells did justice to both of those statements.
You got to show up, and unless they carry off, you got to show up. I was on a little medication, and I didn't want to take too much because, you know, I didn't want to be goofy, you know, and I want to be able to think clearly. So I had a little problem concentrating the first part of the game, but the second half it was a little better.
Is there any way you can describe?
No. It's a little tough unless you've been there.
Bill Parcells had a stone that was large in the kidney for an indeterminate period of time. And then the stone, unfortunately for Bill, moved into the tube that connects the kidney to the urinary bladder. When it moved into this very slender tube, it blocked the tube. And this caused back pressure on the kidney, which produced very severe pain.
Have you noticed any change in the way the players have treated you, you know, last Sunday and this week leading up to the game?
After the game, they were very cautious in approaching me in terms of any physical contact or anything. They were just kind of tapping me and patting me, and usually it's a little more than that.
Only a few people knew he was in pain and that he had a problem the night before, and I think Maurice Carthen was one of those guys. And I remember before we went out, Maurice Carthen said, "Are you okay, Coach?" And he turned around and looked at him with a serious face and being himself, said, "Hey, don't you worry about me, just win the blankety-blank game," you know. And so that was his attitude going out there. To hell with the way he felt, let's just go out there and try to win this and get it over with.
Considered the consummate player's coach, Parcells enjoys a unique relationship with his team, and a mutual respect has developed through interaction and communication.
My personality, I think, is reasonably outgoing toward the players. I don't really hide my feelings from them in any manner.
Don't you make your mind up with him. I'm trying to get the first down.
Where you want? We're going.
Bill, come on, let's go now.
He's yelling not really for the sake of yelling, and he's not yelling to be mean. You know, he's yelling to see what he can get out of you. He's the type of coach that loves to push a button. You know, he wants to push your button and see how you respond to it.
If he feels that we're not doing exactly what he wants us to do, then he'll interject his feelings in there somewhere.
This is your 8th year as a coach. A lot of rumors that you may be leaving soon. How does that stand?
Stands just the way I think any coach would stand after 21 weeks of football. I think if you polled the 28 guys right now, there'd be some reservations about continuing on the part of anyone. But I'll do just what I did every year that I've been in the league. When the season's over, and I'll sit down and I'll think about what I'm going to do. Right now, all I'm concentrating on is Buffalo, and next week it'll be Phoenix, and then New England, and then the playoffs. After that, I'll worry about other things.
But if you were to win a Super Bowl, would it make it easier to leave the game now?
Yeah, it would. Bill Walsh. Yeah, a la Bill Walsh. Yeah, it would. Make it a lot easier.
Okay, a little word association here. New York Giants.
Slow and friendly.
Super Bowl 25.
I don't have a crystal ball.
New York media.
A lot of them.
Kidney stones.
Not my favorite subject.
Understandably so, but important late-season football games are among our favorite subjects, and Will McDonough is back with more when we continue here on NFL Live in just a moment. Stay with us. Bills and Giants coming up from the Meadowlands.
Quote. Celica, one of the most eye-catching cars of the year. Auto Magazine. The performance is stunning. Sports Car International.
Unquote. The 1991 Toyota Celica. Enough said.
Ann had always loved grape nut cereal. I tried it once or twice.
I said you gotta try it with breakfast for at least a week. Get to know it. That good nutty taste. And, well, it's packed with complex carbohydrates. It's a natural energy source. It'll help keep you going.
So I did it. And I do feel great. Now I love it more than she does.
No way.
Breakfast with Post Grape Nuts helps keep you going strong all morning long.
You gotta try it for a week yourself.
I smoke, but on this flight, cigarettes are grounded. My answer? Wrigley Spearmint Gum. That cool, clean taste never lets me down. When I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
I'm visiting my in-laws. I smoke. They don't. No bother. I've got Wrigley Spearmint Gum. That cool, clean taste is most inviting. When I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
All right, here we are in Will McDonough's corner of the world. There have been widespread reports this week that 49er safety Ronnie Lott's knees may finish him for the season. True?
I think it's false, Bob. You know, those stories were written before Ronnie was examined yesterday afternoon in Los Angeles. I talked to his agent, Leonard Amato, last night, and he said, Ronnie does not need surgery. The doctor in L.A. told him it's just a second-degree sprain of his left knee. He doesn't feel he can play Monday night, certainly, against the Rams, but does feel he could be able to play before the end of the regular season and certainly should be ready to play in the playoffs.
Is Boomer Esiason ready for the Bengals tomorrow against the Raiders? He's got that groin injury.
Last time I talked to Sam Weiss a few days ago, he didn't think so. In fact, he said he did not want to put Boomer out there unless he could defend himself. You know, the Raiders are tough. They really come after the passer. And let's face it, Cincinnati is really more interested in the final 2 games of the season when they play their own division opponents. Certainly the game a week from now when they play Houston. That's the one they have to win. So I think he'll use both his backup quarterbacks in the game against Los Angeles.
Eric Wilhelm and Todd Philcox.
Todd Philcox, righty and a lefty. He told me he'd use them both.
So he's got the left-hander and the right-hander in the bullpen. He can change according to the situation.
Yeah.
How about Don Majkowski now that he's had the shoulder surgery and obviously his year is finished for the Packers?
Well, he's very upset about it, at least according to his agent, Bob Wolf. You know, when Don went out to San Diego for a second opinion on his shoulder, he really thought that he was just going to have minor surgery. But then when they looked at his shoulder, they discovered an 1.5-inch tear of his rotator cuff. And according to Bob Wolf, his agent again, he said the doctor said it could be career-threatening, even though they do feel that Majkowski, with proper rehabilitation, will be able to play again next season.
Is Sam Jankovic bound for New England? That report, of course, is one we've talked about for the last few weeks, the Miami athletic director.
Well, I talked to Victor Kiam, the owner, this morning, and he just got up after flying 13 hours back from Japan. He talked with Jankovic again this morning on the phone. He said no deal has been struck yet, but he said Jankovic is still interested. He is still interested in Jankovic. I personally get the feeling that maybe sometime next week it will be official that Sam Jankovic comes to New England as the overall head of operations for football. But I asked Kiam now, does this mean General Manager Pat Sullivan is definitely gone? He said no. He's going to talk with Sullivan today and probably again in New York next week about his future. It doesn't mean that Pat is gone. But I said, okay, let's say you bring in Jankovic. What does this mean for Rod Rust? He says, if I bring in Jankovic as the overall operator of this team, he can do with coaching whatever he wants to do.
Now, how about this poll you've been conducting, your personal poll of all the AFC coaches?
Well, Bob, I've done that the last few years. I try to poll all 14 coaches. I think it's sort of fun for the fans. What do the coaches really think? I said, who's the offensive player of the year in the AFC, the defensive player of the year, and the coach of the year? You know, they can't vote for themselves, and they can't vote for anybody on their team. So I think the results are going to be a little bit interesting for the people to watch tomorrow.
Okay, we'll reveal the results of Will's poll tomorrow on NFL Live, and when we come back after this, we'll make one last check on the pregame scene at Giant Stadium. Stay with us.
Training, Toyota style. Now hit the shower.
I love what you do for me, Toyota.
Reggie, Lewis, roller coaster jam. Lewis, around the world jam. Reggie, reverse jam.
That's reverse jam.
That's Reggie Lewis.
What is the image of a rebel? These are the images of a rebel. Canon's revolutionary new autofocus EOS Rebel. So easy to use, you can stop taking snapshots and start taking photographs.
Rebel, rebel.
Image is everything.
EOS Rebel from Canon. So advanced, it's simple.
Only one antiperspirant in the world helps keep you so dry with the cool, clean scent of Old Spice. Only one deodorant in the world has so many odor-fighting ingredients with the cool, clean scent of Old Spice. There's only one Old Spice.
When you're all stuffed up and use an ordinary nasal spray, it drips into your tissue where it can't help you breathe. But not Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine stays where you need it, so you can breathe the way you want to. We don't drip down, we clear up.
I don't hear. Countdown to kickoff underway here. Just a few seconds left in the program. Back out to the juice. Quick pick.
Hey, Bob, I'm an old Buffalo Bills. I like the Bills 1917.
He's thought about it for a while. What do you think, Will?
Giants, home field in the weather.
Jumbo Elliott is the guy that's going to draw the assignment of blocking Bruce Smith. Will Wolford of Buffalo primarily to block Lawrence Taylor. Their names to watch. Obviously, both teams will use complicated schemes, but pressure on Elliott and on Wolford. We clear out of here. Turn it over to Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh in a minute.
Urkani on News Watch 10.
This is an NFL playoff team. This is what happens to a playoff team without home field advantage.
Is he the NFL's best defensive player? Is he the game's top running back? Are the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl contenders or just another AFC pretender? Number 78, Bruce Smith, believes he and they are super. Smith ignited controversy this week when he claimed he was the NFL's most valuable player. And he may be. He leads the league with 19 sacks, and he has the 11-2 Bills believing they can beat anybody. Number 34, Thurman Thomas. His numbers argue he's the best offensive player. For the second consecutive season, he leads the league in combined yardage. Today, Buffalo faces a fired-up Lawrence Taylor. LT is out to prove he's still the best. The Giants, 11-2, have allowed the least points of any NFL team. The Big Blue defense for the Big Apple is set to counter Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, and the boys from Buffalo.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Giants.
Giants Stadium, a sellout of 77,000. The Bills are 11-2. The Giants 11-2. Both are in the playoffs. Both want home field advantage. Cold weather teams want to have that advantage in January, and these are two cold weather ball clubs. We have a team that leads the league in scoring, the Buffalo Bills. The others, the Giants, are the toughest to score against in the league. Who will give first? It's a game of pride as well.
It really is. Buffalo comes in brash, cocky, irreverent. The Giants, former champions, a lot of character to their football team. Buffalo scored early. They moved the ball well early, but they're playing the best defense in the league early, so it'll be a real confrontation.
All right, the weather itself, with the freezing rain, the ball will be slick. There isn't wind. How will that impact the game in these two teams?
Not an awful lot. Both cold weather teams and an artificial surface. That's not a problem. But the Bills, I think, will go right after the Giants with that opening offense, throwing the ball. And Bill Parcells wants to hammer at people, make it a battle of attrition, prove to the Bills if they're going to come in and play an NFC, they better be ready.
Parcells, who had that kidney stone or the remnants of it removed in minor surgery last night, it has been a painful week for him. Tough guy, and his club, a tough team. They like to play defense. They like to grind it out, hammer it out, a lunch pail approach to the game, and they appreciate a coach who thinks that way. He coached tough all week long. Marv Levy, his team again in the playoffs. Oh, how he would love to entertain AFC playoff action up at Rich Stadium in Buffalo. And, of course, his players' thoughts also on that key game with Miami next Sunday. The fans up there know that that game, in many ways, more important for home field. But this is a game that will decide whether the Buffalo Bills really are in the NFL elite. And are they a serious AFC challenger? AFC has been dominated thoroughly in the last 6 Super Bowls, and the Bills feel it's their turn. This will be a chance to measure.
A real contrast in styles, Dick. AFC team coming in, first real physical team the AFC has put on the field in a number of years, and this is, to me, the most interesting game of the year. The most, in a sense, it could be the most exciting, but these contrasting teams, one trying to establish itself, and the other trying to hold on to the real character that Parcells has developed in them over many, many years.
some legitimacy in this being a possible Super Bowl preview. Norwood's kick is short. Rookie Rodney Hampton at the 13. The ex-Georgia star, who would be a senior in college this year had he stayed in the SEC Conference, takes it to the 28-yard line. Here comes veteran Phil Simms and the Giant offense, Jumbo John Elliott. He'll be assigned to Bruce Smith most of the day. Roberts regarded as the best of those five. Oates, Moore, and Riesenberg. Simms has Otis Anderson, now the number 8 rusher in history. Carthen the blocker, Ingram and Baker the wideouts, Bavaro the tight end. Those two go out in a 3 wide. Manuel comes in with Meggett, the leading receiver. Giants figure to be running away from Smith, and they do on first down as Louis Tillman drives to the 35-yard line.
That's just where they want to run, Dick, to their right, away from Smith, and they feel Leon Seals, as an example, is not a big, bulky guy, and they can get under him and drive him off the line, and they really did it.
There they are, Seals, Wright, Smith, the front three. Talley, Bentley, Conlon, and Bennett are the backers. Those two go out. In the nickel, David Poole and Clifford Hicks, former Ram, come in. Williams, Odoms on the corners, the rookie Williams. Smith and Hagee at safety. Second and short. Diving is the veteran Otis Anderson. No, it was Tillman again, and Tillman is close to the 37-yard line, a couple of yards shy of a first down.
Bruce Smith lined up inside, then jumped way outside, and you see him come down underneath everything, and he is so tough to cut off. He gets his pads below the offensive blockers. But before the ball was snapped, he was over the center lined up, then he moved well outside, then he slanted right back in. So they're going to move him around, especially on the right side.
4 sacks last week against the Colts, 19. That's 2 more than Derek Thomas of Kansas City for the NFL lead. 3rd down and 2. It's Tillman again. And it'll be close to a first down as he is hit on the flat by Shane Conlon, the former Penn State All-America, and Leonard Smith.
That was the same power play they ran on the first play of the game, but that time they had to bounce it. Bennett really took on the fullback, and the play had to bounce, and they barely made it if they did.
So Louis Tillman, that's kind of a surprise. He starts and takes the first three carries, and it earns a first down.
Now this play was designed to go off tackle. You see the double team down, but look at Bennett come up the field and take both the fullback and the guard on. Bennett is not a real physical player, but he is so quick. He beats people to the punch.
Well, Parcells starts not Anderson nor the rookie Hampton, but Tillman, and the Jackson State star of a couple of years ago gets the first 3 carries and a first down.
Now, this is surprising, Dick, that Tillman would start. Not that he's not a very good player. They've got a couple of guys playing in front of him that are pretty darn good.
Tillman again, straight ahead, 41. I wonder if the weather, the fact that maybe Parcells feels that Tillman more reliable in handling the ball, although the veteran Otis Anderson is mightily highly regarded in that respect.
Well, we know one thing for sure. You pointed it out. They're going to run to the right as much as they can. They'll just keep Buffalo honest when they go to their left.
There's Otis Jerome Anderson, OJ.
Here's a confrontation.
Jumbo Elliott, 76, and the man he'll be meeting all day long, 78, Bruce Smith.
Smith again moving all around the field.
Hampton in there now for the first time, and here comes the rookie. He's close to a first down at the 49 before Conlon and Williams can collaborate.
Again, they broke off the right side, and they're knocking Seals back off the line of scrimmage. Bavaro doing a beautiful job on Bennett. He takes Bennett 3 yards to the inside and 3 yards up the field. So the Bavaro-Bennett confrontation could be a critical factor throughout the game.
Hampton, 215 pounds. He's only 21 years of age, signing after his junior year at Georgia. So a couple of first downs for the Giants, all on the ground as expected. Ingram in motion. Hampton goes the other way, Smith's side, and he's into Buffalo territory. A gain of a couple to the 49. Nate Odoms, any field he's playing all-pro corner, comes up to make the stop.
Bruce Smith again is ready to dominate to his inside and break up a play. He is so tough. Look at him split people, taking the guard down and just creating a huge pile. Now that's what it's going to take to stop that awful tackle play. The fullback and the guard pull and run together. A great defensive player will take both of them down and leave the ball carrier stripped.
Sims, hand off to Hampton, cuts back inside to the 40, could go all the way to the 9-yard line. Rodney Hampton. One of the longest runs of the year for the Giants, 40 yards.
Well, the lack of discipline on the part of the Buffalo defense is already showing up. Now, they make great big plays defensively. Now, look at Smith come way up the field here and be out of it. Then the ball will break back to the inside, and Smith really won't be able to catch it. But now he's moving way outside. Watch him try to catch it from behind and doesn't quite make it. The big problem, Dick, is they're taking that right side of the line and knocking those defenders 3 and 4 yards off the ball.
They spotted at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal for the Giants on their first possession. Here comes Hampton again, and he's hit hard by Cornelius Bennett, who slashed in from his linebacker spot.
Well, the plan was, in talking to Giant coaches, that they were going to their right, and are they? The big problem with this Bill defense is that they're undisciplined. That time Bennett went well inside, and Bavaro just simply took him and rode him all the way across where the ball was snapped, leaving a huge hole in there.
And Hampton, who in the preseason ran 89 yards for a touchdown against Buffalo, in his first pro carry, comes up with a big 40-yarder today from the 6. Sims' first throw. Wide open, but he didn't run it, and now this one batted in the air, caught by Hampton, and he's tackled at the 2-yard line. You could hear the crowd almost begging Sims to run to the left. There was no one over there trying to jam the pass.
Everybody wanted him over there, Dick. 70,000 people were screaming to him to run. He's looking to his right. A pick play's not there. Now look in front of him. Nothing there. Nothing there. And he at least could have gotten to the goal line if he hadn't gotten over it.
And Hampton, the right man in the right spot for the Giants to get the carom and a gain of 4 yards.
Beautifully defensed. And you see Bennett jump up to block an anticipated pass. And Bennett might have been able to catch Sims. He's awfully quick, and he'd cut across the defense. But still, the hole was there.
Credit Leon Seals, the man who batted the pass in the air. Hampton saving it for the Giants, and Sims will call timeout. 1 second on the play clock, so he didn't have time to initiate the action. So the Giants threatening on 3rd down.
No matter where you look, there's Mazda. We're introducing new products like the Miata, setting new sales records, winning the respect of the automotive press, and winning awards for both quality and customer satisfaction. But most important, we're making thousands of people feel just right. It just feels right.
I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors shining through. Don't be afraid to let them show.
Catch the true colors of the season on Kodacolor Gold film.
Bud Bowl Update has learned that Bud Bowl 3 will feature something brand new this year, the helmet cam. Budweiser's Billy Bud and Bobby Bud will be wearing the helmet cams to give you a beer's eye view of all the action. Plans for future Bud Bowls include goalpost cam, football cam, x-ray cam, overhead cam, and cam cam. Helmet cam. For Bud Bowl Update, I'm Chris Berman.
Giant head coach Bill Parcells, 49 years of age, a graduate of Wichita State. They call him Tuna, the players. But a barracuda. No, you answer that.
Well, you know, I watched him in the practice session yesterday. Can he be tough and volatile? This easy-going, affable guy, sense of humor, everything. but when he sees something on that field, he is direct, and the players respond, and that's the bottom line in coaching.
What do you think he's called here? 3rd and goal at the 2.
Well, that tailback's going to get it and go to his right, is my guess.
And the tailback is Rodney Hampton. 2 tight ends, Bavaro on the left. They run right. It's Hampton to the goal line. Did he get in? No, he stopped at the 1-foot line, and Parcells, who has a penchant for going for it on 4th down, sends in Otis Anderson. The Giants will not try the field goal, and they love it here at Giant Stadium.
Expect the same thing to happen. They'll take Otis this time, Otis Anderson, and put him off that right side and get an extra tight end in motion, most likely blocking over there, and just take it right up over the top.
The veteran Anderson, who leads the Giants in rushing this year. They go for the heavy formation. 3 tight ends. Anderson dives. No signal yet. Now touchdown, Giants. Barely made it.
He barely made it, Dick. He was cut down early, and just that extra effort and his height got him over the goal line. Now this has got to shake up this Bill team a little bit. Just barely. Now watch that extra effort. He had to reach out with the ball to get over the goal line. But the Bills have been a big play team defensively, but they've given up a lot of yardage and a lot of first downs. So Parcells took advantage of the lack of discipline in that Bill defense.
Matt Barr kicks the extra point, and the Giants flag is down on the extra point. Let's check with Pat Haggerty, today's referee. Personal foul against
running into the kicker, number 97.
Cornelius Bennett running into Barr, and they'll tack on that penalty on the next kickoff. Barr
Bennett
connects.
Coming inside. Oh, gee. No. Not good. Formation, 2 big, powerful tight ends, Bavaro and Cross, but look at Leonard Smith come in here and almost make the stop behind the line of scrimmage. He comes right under everything and almost gets there. In that time, Howard Cross should have cut him off, or it would have cost the Giants a touchdown.
Well, that was a 1 play, 1 yard that really could have turned the complexion of this game early. The Giants score. Bills, had they been able to hold, that certainly would have given them a tremendous emotional lift. 5-yard penalty. You were saying, oh no, about the call. Were you reflecting on Bennett moving into him, or the call itself?
I don't think Bennett did a thing. He was a little off balance. He reached out, grabbed the kicker, and the official threw the flag. That's an unnecessary penalty.
This is Al Edwards, the rookie for Buffalo, and he is buried at the 26-yard line. Myron Guyton made the tackle. Here comes Jim Kelly, having a great year. In fact, he leads the NFL quarterbacks. He's over the 100 rating. Wolford, Richard, Hall, Davis, and Ballard. He's 340, Ballard. Thurman Thomas, Jamie Mueller, the blocker, Lofton, the veteran, and Reed, a great receiver on the outside, and McKellar is the tight end. No huddle, and Jim Kelly loves this. It's been very effective for the Bills. Incomplete to Andre Reed, broken up by Greg Jackson, number 47.
Perry Williams, they were in man-to-man coverage. I'm sure the Bills thought the Giants would automatically zone defenses. You see Taylor rushing right over the top. They thought the Giants would zone it, and the Giants played man-to-man and just stuffed the play.
The swing to Thomas. Boy, he waits brilliantly and now breaks into the clear. Thomas at the 50. One man to beat Collins, and Collins cuts him off at the 25-yard line. A brilliant run by Thomas, who waited for his blockers, used that little stutter step, and then flew down the sidelines.
A beautiful screen pass to the left. You'll see people going to the outside, and watch Thomas wait for his blockers. Great job all the way around of picking up people, Pat Richter and Hull both. Beautifully timed screen, and Thomas just waited for his blockers.
49-yard run by Thurman Thomas, who has 1,083 this year coming in. Underneath, incomplete to Beebe, and there goes a flag. They hit him too soon. Everson Walls.
They're hooking receivers short, Dick, assuming it's a zone defense.
Defensive pass interference, number 28, first down.
And the Giants are just not retreating that far. There's the hooking pattern, but watch, Walls will be right there, and I guess he was there a half a count early. But the Giants aren't dropping their zone that deep, so they're right in the middle of those pass patterns.
First down at the 17, trailing 7-0. Thomas on the draw. And he's inside the 10 to the 8-yard line before Pepper Johnson, number 52, and 47, Greg Jackson, can make the stop. Going without the huddle, Jim Kelly. Well, it's been an effective device at the start of the game for Buffalo here of late. Thomas again, good hole, closes quickly. Leonard Marshall made the stop at the 6-yard line. That may be good enough for a first down.
No question, they're keeping the Giants off balance. And look at this, Dick. The last 7 games, the first possession they've scored, this would make it 7 out of 8.
It is first and goal for Kelly. Throws to Lofton, incomplete. He had a chance. Mark Collins on the coverage. Lofton finding the fountain of youth in Buffalo at age 34.
What a departure from what the Buffalo team has done in the past. Thrown high, just right for Lofton, but he doesn't get both hands on it. Collins did a great job of just getting his hand between Lofton's.
Second and goal for Kelly. Underneath to Andre Reed. Touchdown! And that's what Reed does so well, working in that linebacker area. He's fast and he's strong, and Reed, who has the all-time record for Buffalo at touchdown catches, adds one. He now has 38.
He did the same kind of a pattern for 70 yards against Philadelphia. Here they're on the goal line. Reed just crosses shallow in front of everybody. He builds up his speed. It's a zone defense. They just watch him go by. He catches it and just turns right into the end zone. So that particular play, the Giants are going to have to cut Reed off before he gets across that field. Because I don't think he's 5 yards deep. They could cut him off.
Bill's all-time scorer, Scott Norwood, to add the extra point. And it's tied at 7. Andre Reed from Kutztown State. What a pick he was in the 4th round.
ABC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right. By Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas. By Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. Magnavox, smart, very smart. And by the Budweiser family of beers, who also bring you Bud Bowl 3, coming January 27th.
A key 49-yard screen pass setting up the Buffalo touchdown. It's tied at 7. It took him less than a minute and a half to counter the Giants score on the opening drive of the game. Meggett and Hampton deep as Norwood tees it up. 6.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. The Giants 7, Buffalo 7.
The Giant offense is going to be tested, Dick. Their defense is certainly, but their offense is going to have to keep pace with this Buffalo offense.
Ball falling off the tee. Rain that started early this morning continues. At sometimes a sleet. The roads are very treacherous. Warning out here in New Jersey and northern New York. Some terrible accidents coming to the Meadowlands today from Manhattan. That ball dying short. Hampton fumbles, and it's covered by Meggett at the 23-yard line. Let's go back to that screen pass, Bill Walsh.
It was a beautiful screen pass with the receiver coming out. Now watch the guard and center come out and block, and then the break right between the two people up the field. So Thomas timed this well, but Richer and Hull do a fine job of coming out. Now there is a kick-out block there, a turn-back block there, and then Thomas with his great running ability, with Lofton blocking in front of him, make it almost a perfect picture play.
There's Hull, a Pro Bowler the last couple of years, a former basketball star in high school in Mississippi. Bill Sims has not thrown a pass, well, one pass that was deflected and then caught by Hampton down on the goal line, remember. This is Tillman for the 25, a gain of just 2.
Well, they're going to the right side, and they certainly have been successful with it, but I'm not sure they're going to just go there as a steady diet. They're going to have to open up at some point, especially almost psychologically, Dick. The way Buffalo scored, it was almost easy. Everything worked beautifully, so the Giants are going to have to at least get field position before they get to give up the ball. Or they're going to get in a scoring duel, and I don't think they can stay up with the Bills in that sense.
Bad weather first half more important than, say, a good weather day?
I don't think the weather's affecting anything at all right now. There just isn't any wind.
On 2nd and 8, the screen is to Hampton. He has blockers. Down right at the yardsticks at the 34. Looks as if it might be a first down.
Well, Smith and Talley were bursting up the field, basically unblocked. You'll see them coming up the field. They just let them go. Smith sees that sack. He can get to it. Talley's right there, and Sim times that little screen pass perfectly.
Well, that's made to order when you get two great players already in behind the blockers. That eliminates them.
The problem is the quarterback, because they can see him start to throw it and jump up and bat the ball. But Sims sort of hid what he wanted to do. They didn't sense it, and he got the ball there.
Rodney Dangerfield of linebackers in the NFL, as he calls himself. Darryl Talley, who leads the Bills in tackles on the season. First down. And Hampton. Well, it looked as if he was going to get a bunch, but Darryl Talley stops him cold after 5.
The Bill defenders historically have been willing to go around people. In this case, you'll see Talley at the right of the screen slide back inside and get picked up beautifully by Jumbo Elliott, but the ball carrier net, in this case, sort of broke right into that block. But the Bill defenders have historically gone around the blockers, and that's given the Giants a chance to run. Now, Talley, this is probably the guy that everyone underestimates his ability and doesn't appreciate it, but he's really a Pro Bowl linebacker.
On 2nd and about 5. Underneath the Hampton, Smith can't bring him down, and there's Bentley. Ray Bentley from Central Michigan brings him down at the 40-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Talley again broke that play up. He got right into that and stopped that screen. It had nowhere to go by the time Bentley got there. So Bentley sort of cleaned up on what Talley set up. Now you see Talley backing off. Now watch him attack this screen. Bang, he hits the blocker, and his position, he keeps his feet. Then Bentley just cleans up on what he did.
William Roberts, 66, having a big season for the Giants. They're promoting him for the Pro Bowl. 3rd and 3. Sims, second pass attempt. Incomplete. Through the arms at the 43-yard line of Stephen Baker. The fans wanted interference. No flag. And the first punt of the day, and one of the best in football, Sean Landetta, comes in for the Giants. He is the number 2 punter in average, 43.6. He's tied with Ron Stark of the Colts for 20 kicks inside the 20, and he's 3rd in net this year. As the weather becomes cold or snowy, he becomes more important as a factor, a real weapon for the Giants.
Is he important in this particular case? They've got to back up that Bill offense and make him go the length of the field.
Northwestern Louisiana State rookie Al Edwards at the other end. Ball kicking along the sidelines and out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. And with it a timeout, 3:14 remaining. First quarter, we're tied at 7.
The Raiders. Boomer and Bo. Sunday.
Welcome back to Giant Stadium. The Bills with their second possession. Quick look at the Giant defense. Washington, Howard, Marshall. They're nicked down in that pit area for the Giants. Banks, Diassi, Pepper Johnson, and Lawrence Taylor. Terry Williams comes in the nickel to join the back 4 of the Giants. Collins and Walls, Guyton and Jackson.
The Bills are going with 3 wide receivers. The Giants barely got an extra defensive back in time. So the Bills want to stretch out that Giant defense and throw the ball.
Lots of time for Kelly, and he finds his relief man, Thomas, much like the play that Bill Walsh showed you in the NFL Live segment, out to the 25-yard line, a pickup of 3.
Well, the Giants will go with just 2 down linemen and 5 linebackers. That
no huddle, Bill, so we're right back to action, and underneath it goes, almost intercepted and then caught by McKellar, the tight end, who played only 1 year of college ball. And Carl Banks makes the stop, but not until the Bills have a first down at the 35, a dangerous pass.
The Giants have gone with Howard and Marshall as defensive linemen and 5 linebackers moving around in different positions. In this case Taylor coming up the field, they ran right inside of it.
Thurman Thomas for 5. Banks and Johnson, the tacklers.
That no huddle. We got a hint of a lot of no-huddle, but this is a lot more than I expected, Dick. You'd wonder that the Bills have a lot of confidence going right out there, no-huddle, in a strange setting like this.
He guns this one complete to Andre Reed, breaking tackles, as is his one, and Perry Williams makes the stop at the 23-yard line of New York.
You'd think with the weather conditions and playing at the Giant Stadium, but Reed breaks straight up the field and then just hooks right into that middle area, and Bill Belichick, the Giant coordinator, said, we've got to stop those inside breaks, and there's another one that's been completed. They're running right past the zone defenders and catching the ball, and everybody's caught flat-footed.
Kelly underneath, tight end. No, it's Reed again at the 20-yard line, and this a rare time he's tackled immediately as Carl Branks brings him down at the 20-yard line, so a short gain of about 3.
Now, there's only so much of this no-huddle that the receivers can handle because they'll get winded.
Kelly throwing toward the end zone, almost intercepted by Mark Collins. Oh, he threw into double coverage and lucky to get away with that one as Collins was there along with Guyton.
Collins broke forward in a zone defense and then retreated right back into the play. Kelly never saw him retreat back in there. They thought they had him held at the line of scrimmage.
Andre Reed became a defensive back to break up the interception. Third down. Kelly's going to run for it. Lawrence Taylor from behind, and Guyton, or with Greg Jackson coming up from the secondary, make the stop. It'll be short of a first down by about a yard.
This is as well as I've seen Kelly play. A year ago, people worried about his fundamentals and his judgment and being inconsistent, but thus far in this game, it's almost a perfect game for a quarterback. He's moved when he's had to, adjusted his position. That time his run was spontaneous and well done.
Well, Marv Levy is not going for the field goal with less than a minute to go in this first quarter. It's 4th down and 1 at the Giant 15. And now Kelly calls time. A timeout with 19 seconds remaining in this opening quarter, and Kelly will come to the sidelines and talk it over with Marv Levy. 4th and 1 here. Would you go for the field goal?
I'd kick the field goal at this point, but they may have a play they feel very, very solid about, and if you go for it on 4th down, it's usually because you've planned and you have something related to the defense you're facing that you know will work or you feel very confident about.
Jim Kelly, in talking with him yesterday, one of the things that he did in the offseason was study films of every interception he made last year. And he said, as you look at Collins very close to picking one off there, that it was whenever he was throwing off his back foot, not stepping into the play. Well, he stepped into that one all right.
Kelly's really just developed so much more poise, playing so much more confidently. Part of it is Thomas receiving and Lofton's receiving and everything in sync in their 4th year of working together.
3 tight ends for Kelly on 4th and 1. Thomas right into a stone. No, Don Smith. And on second effort, he might have squeaked forward. He's at the 14, and this will require a measurement.
They got nothing. If they got that, they were darn lucky because he was stuck. There's Bill Belichick. Interesting guy, isn't he, Dick? He's a brooding, intelligent technician. He's done a beautiful job with this team in dealing with the talent and utilizing it so well.
And now a key measurement for both clubs. Tied at 7 with 12 seconds left in the quarter.
Well, if the Bills had a play they thought would work, it came close to not working.
Just enough for Don Smith, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Wait, they're going to remeasure here. There may have been a little hook in the chain there. There's Taylor. Smith's second effort.
Does Taylor expend himself in football? He just threw his body in there.
They remeasured. Pat Haggerty wasn't satisfied with the chain really being all in line.
Bill, he knew it would be tight.
And Marv Levy's Bills have a first down at the Giant 14.
They're going with 3 wide receivers every play.
Thomas kicking his hole, slashing down to the 6-yard line. And it takes half the Giant defense to stop him after a gain of 8 more. And Thomas having a banner first quarter that comes to an end tied at 7.
Tactics right here of Richer and Wolford coming through that line of scrimmage. And in this particular case, Dorsey came too far up the field. Look at those blocks, and Thomas cuts right in behind it. So the call itself was timed perfectly. Everybody coming up the field, so pass rush, and they trap and pull the backside tackle through the hole.
We open the second quarter. Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh at Giant Stadium on a rainy, freezing day in the Meadowlands. You wouldn't know it by the way they've moved the ball, 7-all. And this drive continues for Buffalo. 2nd and 2, Thomas to the 5, and then Twist for possibly another first down if he's inside the 4-yard line. And Thurman Thomas has really been a brilliant player, and perhaps not earning the credit nationwide that he deserves. Here's a guy, he said he even flew in to see his old buddy Barry Sanders. Can you imagine a team that had, well, Thomas was so good, Sanders had to sit on the bench behind him as a sophomore at Oklahoma State.
Well, he said with Sanders, as soon as they saw Sanders, he said that's going to be great. Maybe they didn't realize Heisman Trophy, but Sanders was a bright young star. But this guy is so underrated, probably because he doesn't get the publicity and doesn't talk about it that much, but he can do everything.
He twisted all the way to the 2-yard line. Here's Thomas looking for the end zone. He is in for a touchdown.
Now that was a run, Dick. He had Taylor, he had Reasons, he had Marshall out there with him, and they had him corralled. And he had to make a decision, so he just jumped and split 2 people. Watch him go right up inside Taylor and outside Marshall. Beautiful job. He is quick, he's agile. The Bills have got real weapons with Thomas, but they've got James Lofton outside. They've got Reed outside, McKellar a tight end. With Kelly, this team is potent, really potent.
Thomas with his 10th touchdown rushing this year and his 12th overall. Norwood adds the extra point, and it's the Bills leading 14-7 in the first minute of the second quarter. Well, tomorrow, more outstanding NFL football action. We have a doubleheader here on NBC. You look at the AFC West, and Kansas City will be involved with the Houston Oilers, who are tied for the Central Division lead. And there's a lineup: Houston, Kansas City, Warren Moon against Steve DeBerg. How about Seattle and Miami? That one.
I didn't realize Seattle's already at 7-6. I kept thinking they were having a losing year. People are talking about them in the playoffs. What a beautiful job by Chuck Knox of bringing that team back from oblivion.
And Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Indianapolis, and the Jets here at the Meadowlands. And then the late games. Boomer Esiason, the latest report is it looks as if he will play against the Raiders and that tough defense in San Diego. They still have a long shot chance against the Broncos. I understand that you're so involved with this doubleheader, you don't even want to go home tonight with me. You're going to stay here to be on NFL Live.
They've asked me to take over NFL Live. They got Bob Costas doing some ice fishing up in the Northwest, and I'm taking over. Dick, would you like a spot?
I've got to get home for the kids' recital. I'd be pleased to join you otherwise.
Well, Bob, bless his heart, will be up north, and everybody will relax around there.
Oh, boy. Thurman Thomas, 30 yards rushing. Of course, he also had that big 49-yard play on the pass. He's caught 3 or 4 passes as well in this first half.
And he's durable. That factor is much like Sanders. They're durable guys. They can go all day, all season. And by their body build and their strength, they don't take the real punishment that other people do.
You saw Meggett and Hampton dancing around, hoping that Norwood wouldn't see where Meggett's going. They're trying to kick away from Meggett toward Hampton, but Meggett's going to cut in front. Nope, they bobble it, and finally Hampton comes up with it at the 24-yard line and meets a crush of Buffalo Bills.
The scary part of one of those plays is the fumble. Both backs are off balance trying to find the ball, and then when they're hit, they don't have control of it. But Hampton managed to keep control of it. The Giants are really going to be tested this drive because they haven't even slowed down the Bills. Now, both guys, normally there's a call between them, and I'd assume that Meggett would make that call. And Hampton still went for the ball. So whose fault it was, but that could be disastrous.
Bill Sims starts at the 24, trailing 14-7. Break at the 25. And the give is to Tillman. Right into the arms of the Buffalo defense. Leon Seals from Jackson State. First to make contact.
Boy, it can't be an automatic run on first down if the Giants are going to expect to stay with the Bills offensively. They're going to have to open it up. I know Parcells wants to grind it out and hammer the opponent, but they haven't faced somebody that's scored this easily on them all year. The 49ers certainly couldn't do it.
Dave Meggett goes out as a flanker right, and Otis Anderson now has replaced Tillman. 2nd and 8. Incomplete. Bentley flaps it left hand out there and knocks it away from Bavaro. Former Phi Beta Kappa, Harvard master's degree, and the man that actually sought a brilliant young high school mind when he got the University of California job.
I think he hired me, Dick, as you know, but I think he thought there was another Walsh. He didn't realize who was hiring him.
He said they used to draw these tricky plays, and he would have an eraser in one hand while you were drawing with the other.
My left hand drawing them, his right hand erasing them.
3rd down and 8. Sims under pressure, gets it off to Baker. And Stephen Baker has a first down at the 44.
Sims really kept his poise and just assumed that Smith would be handled. Very nice job, and Smith went all the way around and took his chance. But both teams are running crossing patterns and getting people running across the field, and they're not staying with them. Now here's a good job of Smith and oh boy, is he fast. They were concerned that Jumbo Elliott couldn't stay with him, and he didn't that time. Sims stepped up just in the nick of time.
The toss to Otis. And he's met by Shane Conlon after a yard or two gain. There's Conlon, named after his dad's favorite movie that starred Alan Ladd.
Well, this is a great player also. The Bills, after years of losing, were able to draft early people like Conlon, certainly Smith, Bennett, any number of these guys, and they finally have been able to put it together with a truly talented team.
Seals into the backfield, the Buffalo tackle. Let's see if he was drawn off.
96.
5 free yards for the Giants. They'll take the ball into Buffalo territory to the 48-yard line.
Well, Marv Levy was concerned about his defense. They have great players, as we all know, but they've given up a lot of first downs over the period of the year. They've made big plays, but people have controlled the ball on them, and the Giants have to control the ball today. They have to keep that Bill offense off the field.
14-7, the Giants. Anderson. Bruce Smith was there first for the Bills with plenty of help. Leonard Smith, no relation, comes up from his safety spot, 46, to help out.
Bruce Smith right in front of us, coming down to the inside. Roberts starts to pick him off, but once he decides to go somewhere, you'd have to put an automobile in his way to stop him, because he just takes the blocker right with him. You know, he's talked a lot this week, but while we visited, he made sense to me. I believed him. He just rationally discussed his abilities and what he's done, and I'd have to agree he is the best defensive player in 1990.
On 3rd and 2, Anderson hit in the backfield by you-know-who.
Did he get across the face of Roberts that time? He lined up on the outside shoulder of Roberts and just slashed right inside of him and took the whole side of the line out.
Flag is down. And it would appear to be against the Giants.
65.
This is great football. Watch Smith come down inside and cut off the entire play. Nobody even slowed him down. He gets his pads underneath people and just washes them right down the line of scrimmage.
Oh, another all-pro play by Smith that forces Sean Landeta and the Giants punting team to come on, and the rain continues to fall here in the New York area Now let's take a look at Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith in tackle. Smith up 5-2. No sacks in the game thus far.
Smith has the advantage of moving around in that defensive line, so he can be closer to the ball than Lawrence more of the time.
Landetta drives this one at Al Edwards and lets it bounce. Uh-oh. And the Giants will take advantage of that. 2-yard line. 48 yards for Landetta. When we return, Buffalo will begin near its goal line. Stay with us after the action today. The World Professional Figure Skating Championships Hall of Fame list. Jumbo Elliott, the tackle for the Giants, assigned to stopping Bruce Smith today. Boy, talk about an elephantine opportunity.
The left tackle in football in the NFL is becoming the star player, the most visible player.
9-0, the Bills cleaning up on losing opponents, but they played only 4 teams with winning records and are 2-2. Thurman Thomas swimming out to the 3-yard line. Eric Howard tripping him up. So this is a test in many ways for the non-believers. They believe up in Buffalo, but the truth is that 4 times they've met a winning team this year, and they've been able to win 2 and lose 2. Are they better than that? Well, they're testing the Giants now.
I think they're getting better every week. In fact, I don't think it's very evident they're getting better every week. They beat a fine Philadelphia team. Now they're certainly playing head-to-head with the Giants, if not outplaying them. I think they're for real.
Kelly again to Thomas. Just trying to buy some yardage away from that goal line out near the 7. Howard and company. Leonard Marshall making the stop.
Not bad, Dick. They've taken that ball from their 1-yard line and driven it right out in 2 consecutive running plays, and they're pushing and knocking those Giants off that line of scrimmage. No question about it. So they've shown us a little of everything. They certainly throw the ball well. They've got the great runner and receivers, but now their offensive line is doing an excellent job against an outstanding Giant front 7.
Take a chance here this deep with a pass.
I think they'll try to get it running. I would assume they will.
3rd down and 4. Thomas to the 10, and he did not make it. Pepper Johnson with a solid hit.
This is what Parcells wants, field position. Just keep Buffalo bottled up.
And Rick Tootin from Florida State will come in to punt for the first time in the game.
This is the best AFC team I've seen in a long time, Dick. This team can take on anybody in the NFC. I wouldn't assure a victory, but they're going to go head-to-head. It won't be the same kind of Super Bowl this year as it's been.
Meggett at midfield. An outstanding punt returner, has one for a touchdown this year. Short. And the Bills surrounded as it takes a slow Buffalo roll to the Bill 49-yard line. Good field position for the Giants midway through the second.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance. By Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars. By Levi's 505, 506, and 540 jeans. And by Coors Light, the one that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now.
This will really be interesting, Dick. Right here, 8 first downs for the Giants. They've started a series 8 times, all rushes every time. So you'd assume the Bills are going to zero in for the run, and this is the stereotype they have to break.
14-7, Buffalo leads. 8:13 remaining in the opening half. From the 48-yard line of the Bills, Sims throws for the first time on first down to Baker, and he drops the ball. Rookie James Williams, the top draft choice of the Bills this year from Fresno State, on the coverage.
The Bills dropped deep. Baker stopped short, and he wanted to run with it before he caught it. That's what you always have to warn that receiver. Now watch him start to run before he catches it, trying to make something more out of it. That time, by the way, Roberts really blocked Smith well. They've moved Smith in over the left guard a good part of the time now. They think that's probably a better matchup.
Sims the Bills' 30.
They move Sims outside, and you watch an out-and-up pattern, then he stops again. A beautiful job. An excellent pattern by Baker. But on the other hand, they took Smith moving down inside here, and you're going to see Sims run away from him to the outside, sprint to the outside and get away from him. Well constructed.
First down at the 30 for the Giants, and it's Hampton into the clear for a moment, and finally wrestled down by Seals, and he may have gotten the face mask.
At this point, this is the best game we've had, Dick. It really is. Both teams playing very, very well. A lot of action.
A 15-yard face mask.
He had to have grabbed it and held it purposely. It didn't just brush over. Fine job of cutting back to the outside, and there he's holding onto it to make the tackle. That's 15.
And with a towel protecting the football to keep it as dry as possible, they mark it half the distance down to the 10-yard line. Rodney Hampton showing some terrific cutback moves for the Giants. Ball is just outside the 10. Hampton and Shane Conlon there quickly to stop him after a short gain. Cornelius Bennett chasing the play, got a piece of the action as well.
He wanted to cut back when he got the ball. It had worked the previous play, so he started left and knew where he wanted to go. But he really didn't give, Hampton really didn't give the Bills a chance to pursue. He started over there, and they were all waiting for him. A lot of real talent on this Bill defense, individual players. As a unit, they don't play like some of the great ones, but individually, they really have ability.
Hampton in motion, and then to give to Meggett, and Meggett to the 6-yard line. Yeah, they were hoping to catch the Bills keying on Meggett as a receiver, and instead they gave him on a little delay, but the Bills reacted well. Leonard Smith, former Cardinal, he was a #1 pick in '83, become the extra wide receivers. 84, Kyle's a rookie from Howard in, and Baker returns as well, and so Buffalo counters with the extra DBs, Hicks and Poole.
Hicks and Poole are good players, but not great ones. That's where, if there's any advantage, the Giants will have it with those extra receivers against the extra defensive backs.
3rd and 5. Sims throws it away. He was under pressure and looked as if the ball might have slipped a little out of his grasp. Baker was the closest Giant, and here comes veteran Matt Barr to try a field goal.
Again, Smith is a factor, coming up the field and coming right back underneath, knocking Elliott back, and poor Meggett had to, Dave Meggett had to sit there and just sort of absorb him as best he could. But regardless of what happens to Elliott, if he can just get in the way, he's doing his job. He can be embarrassed, but he can still be getting his job done.
Raul Alegre injured in the 3rd game of the year. Bauer has taken over, and the veteran makes it 13 out of 17 since joining the Giants. That one from 23 yards. Just under 6 minutes left in the half. The Bills' lead cut to 4. Standings in the AFC East starting today. Buffalo with a game lead on Miami. They meet at Rich Stadium next Sunday. Indianapolis, the Jets in England. And the NFC East, the Giants have already clinched another AFC Eastern title. They trail 14-10, and the Bills get the ball. Al Edwards to the 22. Good coverage by David Whitmore, number 43. Tonight on NBC, you lift your spirits, an all-new Amen. Then it's a brand new episode of the Finelli Boys on its new night, followed by all new episodes of the Golden Girls and Empty Nest. And then ring in the holidays with Lonnie Anderson, Joan Van Ark, Dixie Carter. It's Bob Hope's 1990 Christmas show from Bermuda. All tonight, only on NBC.
No huddle.
Screenplay. Almost
Would this have added to his mystique to come back and bring his team back that well? He's unblocked, and you see Banks really putting the heat on. It was a screen pass. You see Taylor handling the screen pass well. Beautiful spot, but really he had a guard in front of him, and Davis was right there.
That wasn't as wide open as it first appeared. That would have been a tough play.
He had to contend with Davis and then Taylor.
And Jim Kelly's been hurt as he delivered that last pass. I believe he was hit by his own man. And only in this area would you hear that big a roar for an injured player. I hope that's not serious.
You never know.
Just never been able to quite fathom why a fan would actually cheer a great player's injury.
Yeah, they were excited about it, weren't they?
And it appears to be the knee. The way he was writhing in pain, and his teammate's still down as well.
See, that's Wolford that's down.
And it may have been that Wolford blocked into Kelly, and that caused the injury.
Well, it doesn't have to be a serious injury, even though it's extremely painful at the moment. So it's not automatically.
Frank Reich warming up, the backup. Kelly, who's had a solid season, as we told you, the best numbers of any quarterback in the NFL, a rating of over 100, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It appears that Carl Banks is the man, his defensive force, driving Wolford into his own quarterback. And Wolford injured as well. That's a double hit. Perhaps the best lineman and the top quarterback down on the same play.
At that point, he's on that left leg. Now, it came so late. He had clearly thrown the ball, and his left leg was extended and locked. His knee was locked, and that's where the problem showed up. But it may not have been a blow from the side, hopefully from the front, and that wouldn't have created quite the ligament damage.
That could be more of a bruise than a ligament damage. And meanwhile, Wolford, the left tackle, 295-pound tackle.
That was a full count after he'd thrown the ball. So it had to hit him very, very low, right at the kneecap.
And it would appear, although we couldn't see all of it, that it was indeed Wolford knocked back into his own man as Banks' defensive thrust into the tackle. And this is Kelly. Here's another angle. You could see that it was indeed Wolford who hit his own man, Kelly, who just didn't expect to have any contact at that point. He was admiring the reception.
Right.
Well, you talk about tough luck, and that's a fairly good sign. I think Kelly just getting slammed into that kneecap. Anyone that's ever even bumped a knee can well appreciate the fear that he felt and the pain, and perhaps not as serious as it might have at first appeared. And Reich, who has done a good job coming off the bench for the Bills, his limited opportunities, is going to fill in now. And Wolford comes off under his own power.
I'm sure that Kelly right this second is thinking, how long before I can get back in this game? Now, he most likely won't, but what a competitor.
So at the 5:30 mark of the second quarter, the welfare of one of the top quarterbacks in the league is crucial. And Reich, who played at Maryland, he was the backup to Boomer Esiason there. They're still good friends and business associates. You saw he's thrown only 13 passes this year. It's third down and 3. And Thomas to the 30. That's not enough for a first down. Leonard Marshall, number 70. And let's see who gets up last here. 74, Eric Howard.
Kelly is moving around. We can take a look here. He's starting to put weight on it. Very well could have been a bruise right in the front of the knee rather than a strained knee from a lateral contact. Now the real character of these Bills will show, because they're going to have to pick up after the loss of Kelly.
Dave Meggett back at the Giant 32 as Tootin to punt for the second time. End over end and short to let it bounce. Ooh, almost hit Guyton. Takes a good Buffalo roll to the 20-yard line. Jim Kelly will be attended to, and suddenly that thing is locked up. When it comes to the punt, that's Kelly with the red coloring on the shoulder pad area. He gets so involved in the ball rolling for a 50-yard punt. Watch what happens. He cheers it on and puts pressure on that knee and realizes it's more serious than he had thought. Giants trailing 14-10 with 4 minutes left in the half. Take over at their 20 and hit in the backfield is Hampton. And he's ripped down by Darryl Talley.
Talley got underneath the fullback's block, beat the guard there. Now this is just an outstanding play. Look at him get inside that fullback's block and get there before Hampton does. So those plays that are coming laterally across the ball and then hitting a point across the line of scrimmage aren't going to get there. The Bills are cutting them off before they can cross the line of scrimmage.
A loss of a long 3. Sims to the flat, and flag goes down, and is that a big one? It's a short pass, but if that's interference, the automatic first down goes with it, as James Williams may have been there too soon. That was one of those passes hanging out there, and Williams was thinking perhaps interception.
Just too anxious. He had the interception all the way, and he went for it too early. But did he have a chance for a play?
So it's a 4-yard play, but a first down on 2nd and 13.
Sims had a real push into him, and he was pushing, throwing out of a crowd. Look at the chance that Williams had there. He really had a chance for a play.
Howard Cross gets the catch and the first down on the penalty at the 22. 3:22 left in it. Giants trail by 4. Jim Kelly injured, the Buffalo quarterback. Hampton the 26-yard line, and Jim Kelly now is going to be carted. You can see that left knee already bandaged but not iced. And they have Miami next Sunday. As much as this is a game of importance for respect and to show the rest of the league that Buffalo belongs with the elite, the big game is at Rich Stadium next Sunday with Miami. They need to beat Miami to assure themselves the AFC Eastern Championship. That's Maurice Carthon getting his first carry for short yardage. We saw this scene last year when Kelly was injured in Indianapolis, and Wright came on and did a great job filling in for him for 3 games.
He's a very able player, Wright, and he can do the same things Kelly does, so they don't have to change their style of football or eliminate certain plays. But I'm surprised Kelly wasn't taken right into the dressing room and looked at immediately. You know, they let him stand on the sideline, so they must not have thought it was very serious initially.
A freak collision, and Jim Kelly perhaps through for this day. It certainly would appear so, as we're at the 2-minute timeout with the Buffalo Bills of the AFC leading the NFC Giants 14-10.
A new year with the Hall of Fame Bowl as Clemson battles Illinois. Then Louisville takes on Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl. And it's a primetime showdown of the Orange Bowl as #1 Colorado battles Notre Dame to decide the national championship. New Year's Day, NBC is the place to be.
Back at Giant Stadium, that's Ted Marchibroda, the offensive coordinator, former head coach with the Colts, talking with Frank Reich. It's his game now. 3rd down, about 2.5 for Sims. Gets away from Smith, but not the second time. And that's Leon Seals who cleans up the work, and Sims drops short of the first down at the 30-yard line. The Bills do not, yes they do, call timeout. Their second spent in this first half, and Sims shaking a bit as he goes off.
Sims must have turned an ankle or something. Look how fast he gets up that field, and then he lowers his shoulder. The only way you're going to be able to throw that ball with Smith on the field is take a very short drop and get rid of it, Dick. You take that typical deep drop, and he's right into the lap of the quarterback.
Buffalo did not take a timeout, and now the clock has run from 1:51 down to 1:34.
See that rush now. Sims has some problems of some kind out of this.
Seals catches him from behind, jamming that knee into the wet turf, but he appears to be okay.
He just jammed that one, but he's tough. He'll be back, no question. But Bruce Smith just changes the entire perspective of the game. Now here's Wolford coming out. He was out 4 or 5 minutes ago. He left the field. Now what could be wrong? He's running well. His arms are moving nicely. He's not holding anything.
So it must not be too serious.
Couldn't be too serious.
So with a delay, losing 17 seconds, Buffalo finally stops the clock as, of course, Landette and the Giants were going to use up all they could. Al Edwards back at his 31. Buffalo leading 14-10 will get another chance before the intermission. Low line drive. Edwards again lets it bounce. Looks for a block. And gets to the 32-yard line. Robert Roscoe, tight end, makes the tackle, and let's see how Marv Levy plays it with 1:21 to go and one timeout with a backup quarterback. All signs would say take it easier, wouldn't it?
Normally you would. Reich has always played well. He came in and has done admirably well. He's got more than average ability. So they may just unload him and just go.
Boy, he was sitting on the bench behind Boomer at Maryland. Then as a senior had big numbers. Third round pick by Buffalo in '85. And they're going to go for it. To the tight end, McKellar. And the former basketball star at Jacksonville State of Alabama gets good yardage and stops the clock at the 44-yard line.
Gary Reasons missed a tackle. Number 55 missed a tackle that he should have made. Allow Buffalo to get out of bounds, stop the clock. The Giants just have to do a better job of tackling those crossing receivers. Now there's that two-man line with a three-man rush against his own defense.
Can't hang on to that one as Reasons with him.
Going with 5 linebackers, any one of whom can blitz, giving them a 4-man rush. But Bill Belichick talked about funneling everything inside again with this form of defense and having a lot of people in there to stop those inside breaking patterns.
2nd and 10 again. McKellar, the tight end, into Giants territory at the 47, a gain of about 8. Carroll Banks makes the tackle. Clock running just under a minute. Buffalo, remember, has 1 timeout left in the half.
Giants are going to have to jump on those crossing receivers and be there when the ball gets there. Right now they're giving them those completions.
3rd down and 1, and Thomas doesn't make it. He is stuffed. Eric Howard from Gilroy, California, the world's garlic capital. He said that's his secret weapon. I just take some of that good Gilroy garlic and let my opponent know I'm here. Howard from Washington State. He and Keith Millard. What a tandem that was inside for the Cougars college.
He sure started out well this year. When we were here earlier in the year with the Miami game, they were talking about Howard being a potential superstar in the league.
Well, the Bills don't seem to want to run another play. The final seconds tick away. And now time called with 2 seconds left. And apparently Marv Levy says, well, we'll let it run down. We'll take one shot at the long pass where we can't be hurt with the Giants intercepting unless they really run a long one back. And that's the strategy here.
I'm sure you can look for a Giants trying to block this punt. Or maybe they're going to go for it. I guess they are, aren't they? 2 seconds.
Yeah, the injury to Kelly really cast a pall on this crowd, didn't it?
Well, they've got to get him back for those playoffs. That's the bottom line. They're in the playoffs. They've got to get him back for those.
Well, the trips left. And the Giants send 2 men all the way back inside the 5-yard line. Hoping for a carom or a lucky bounce. Whoa, almost got it. Broken up by Pepper Johnson. The end of the first half. The Buffalo Bills leading the Giants 14-10, but of concern for the leaders and Marv Levy, the welfare of Jim Kelly. We'll have all that for you when we return. First, we go to Bob Costas and NFL Live.
All right, Dick, thanks very much. I'm here, of course, with Will McDonough, and as Dick Enberg said, coming up during the halftime show, we'll have a report on Jim Kelly's condition. O.J. Simpson is there at the Meadowlands. He'll speak with Buffalo's team doctors, and we'll get an updated report. Plus, Gail Gardner visits with Houston quarterback Warren Moon, who's having the greatest season of his career. The underdog Bills, Giants were favored by about a field goal, leading 14-10 at halftime.
On the sideline, and they were taking Jim Kelly off the field. I talked to the Bills team doctor, Dr. Richard Weiss. He looked at me with his eyes turned down, and he says, I don't want to elaborate, but it could be torn cartilage. I understand since this time the Bills PR man has come out here and said it's just a sprained knee. Bob, I'll hang around the locker room and see if I can find out more before the end of the half.
Well, okay, thanks, O.J. Obviously, a tremendous difference between those two situations. If it's just a sprained knee, it's painful, but wouldn't necessarily keep him out of the playoffs. Might keep him out next week or whatever. If it's torn cartilage, he's history, and they've got to rely on Frank Reich, or at least he's history for the early stages of the playoffs, I guess.
Bob, with a torn cartilage, it all depends on how badly torn it is. I mean, if it's just a piece of the cartilage and you can get in there with an arthroscope and pull it out, then you're talking about 2 or 3 weeks, because once you're in there, the soreness stays there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then he could come back from the playoff. Reich is not a stiff, okay? He had a 103 rating when he played last year, quarterback rating in the league, which is phenomenal, so he can play football. I mean, it's a big drop-off from Jim Kelly, but he can do the job.
So they rely, for the moment at least, on Frank Reich, a 6-year veteran out of Maryland, where he used to be Boomer Esiason's backup. Up next, Warren Moon is having his finest season in the NFL, and his Oilers are locked in a 3-way battle for the AFC Central title. Gail Gardner talks with Houston's leader when we continue after this from your local stations. Well, today's Bills-Giants game is just the start of our NFL lineup for Week 15 of the season. Tomorrow's a doubleheader day on NBC, filled with playoff implications, by the way. One of the early games finds the AFC West co-leaders Kansas City hosting Houston, one of 3 first-place teams from the AFC Central. The Oilers suffer from a lack of overall team consistency, but their quarterback is flourishing under the run and shoot. Here's Gail Gardner with the story of a good moon rising.
The moon. Throughout time, it has been an object of great wonder and legendary power. It can get a rise out of the tides and can turn mild-mannered men into savages. We have yearned to explore its cratered shores, and we have raised our voices to sing its praises.
Moon hits your eye like a big
But in Houston these days, moon worship has definitely taken a different turn.
Warren Moon is a lot of things. He's a father, he's a husband, he's I think a pretty good athlete and pretty good quarterback. He's also a person that cares about other people.
Sincere guy, a smart guy, a good character. He's just the type of person you'd like to be around.
Week in and week out, he just goes out and gets it done. And, you know, everybody else around him has to follow because you feel like you're being left behind if you don't.
13 years after all 28 NFL teams told Warren Moon he couldn't play quarterback in their league, he has done more than prove them wrong. In his 7th season in Houston, he is flourishing in the Oilers' run-and-shoot offense and has certainly become one of the premier quarterbacks in the game.
Oh, you crazy moon, look what you've done.
You know, I think the thing that's different about Warren is Warren doesn't try to show his wide receivers or anybody on the offensive team up. You know, I've been looking on TV and I've been seeing a lot of quarterbacks yelling at receivers, yelling at people. And I think when you're a professional, when you're a true professional, you're not supposed to do that.
Hello there, moon man, you're kind of cute. Take off your hat.
When his helmet's off, there is not much breathing room in Warren Moon's days. His media and charity commitments alone would boggle one's mind. He is also the father of 4 and has a pretty good idea of where his work ethic comes from.
I think it comes from my mom. She was a very strong woman. She endured a lot. Early when my dad died, had to take on a lot of responsibility by herself, and I used to watch her, how she handled our household, how she made things work with not a lot to work with, and I think some of that's rubbed off on me.
Named NFL Man of the Year last season for his unparalleled community work, he is giving back something that he was fortunate enough to get as a child.
I was involved in a lot of different programs and recreation organizations that kept me off the streets, that kept me in positive environments. And if it wasn't for those type of organizations, it's no telling where I'd be right now.
Given where he is, and that's a pretty good station in life these days, there is still one place he'd like to get to.
I've done just about everything I can do in the game. I've thrown for a lot of yards. I've broken some records. I've won championships at other levels, but I've never won one at this level. And I would really like to have that happen before I retire, because I don't have a whole lot of time left. I don't think ability-wise. I think somewhere along the line my ability is going to start to fade, and I want to be at the top of my game like I am now when we make that move, to get to the Super Bowl.
Now, Will, you told us earlier this season that Moon's contract has an incentive clause that rewards him very handsomely if he finishes among the top 3 statistically among league quarterbacks, and right now he's in second place through 14 weeks, as you see.
Bob, he just missed it last year. I think by 0.2 of a point he finished 4th. He will get a bonus of $1.2 million added to his contract for his salary next year if he ends up in the top 3. It's the biggest bonus I've ever heard for an incentive in pro football.
All right, by the way, right now, O.J. is in the Bills' locker room. He'll have more on Jim Kelly's condition in a moment. Buffalo does not have a third-string quarterback right now behind Frank Reich. Gail Gilbert is not eligible for this game. If Reich got hurt, they'd have to go to running back Don Smith, who was a quarterback at Mississippi State. Now, coming up on the post-game show, we'll talk live with NBC's Paul McGuire as we look ahead to tomorrow's games. And time permitting, we'll have the top 10 college players in the upcoming draft as rated by the Pro Football Scouting Combines. That's all on the post-game show as we send you back now for the second half of the Bills and Giants at the Meadowlands. And we'll do that as we rejoin Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh in a moment.
Let's go.
Out of the second half here at Giants Stadium, a look back, 5.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Jim Kelly completes a pass and then is struck unexpectedly as his own teammate Wolford rolling into that knee, and then Kelly writhing in pain. We still have as yet to receive an official medical report on the seriousness of that injury, but one can only assume he's not going to play today and probably next week. And what if Kelly were lost for the season? As a coach, can you put yourself in Levy's shoes?
I hate to think about it. But Frank Reich is a good quarterback and an able one, and he's won for them in the past, as you know. They're going to have to reduce the things that Kelly did and find those things that Frank does well. Problem with this game is they're going to have to score again, and can Frank get it done? I'm sure they checked off those things he can do best and are isolate on those, and now their defense and their running game are going to have to rally, as is often the case, to pick up for the slack.
A reminder, last year when Kelly was injured in Indianapolis, missed 3 games, Reich took over and he rallied the Bills that Monday night game against the Rams. Then he led them to a victory over the Jets, and they beat the Dolphins, so he was 3-0. Now he not exactly dropping down to an inferior player.
No, and you saw Ted Marchibroda speaking with him just then and going over those plays that they'll emphasize with him. You see, he hasn't got much...
Al Edwards is breaking clear, and Edwards is bumped out of bounds on the far sidelines at the 45-yard line of the Giants. So Edwards, the rookie, with a big return, and Dave Dorson, the veteran, perhaps saved a touchdown.
Well executed all the way up the field. You see him go inside the double teams, then right back out. There's a perfect kickoff return. All the blocks were there.
And indeed, Dorson saved the score. So the Bills get a big return to start the second half. About half the crowd here at Giants Stadium with this foul weather deciding to head for the exits. Frank Reich for the injured Jim Kelly, and he's got a star behind him in Thurman Thomas. And Thomas with a call. Good play. Carl Banks wrapping him up a gain of 2.
Well, Reich will have a specific group of plays he'll run. The problem coming into a game cold like this is he had not gotten, I'm sure, enough practice to prepare for this game, where Kelly would get 80 or 90% of the practice for a league game like this, especially a big one. Frank Reich would get very, very little. So he's not going to be as sharp as he would be after another week when he'd be the starting quarterback in their next game.
There's Will Wolford, number 69. He's the man that crashed into Kelly, creating the injury. He's okay. 2nd and 8. Giants will give Reich a lot to look at, and Thomas no gain as Leonard Marshall, who slashes in along with John Washington to make the stop. And you can bet that defense of the Giants will do a lot of moving and stunning and game playing to try to confuse Reich once he gets under center.
2 players that are so comparable in this game. Now, Marshall is strictly a pass rushing guy that's been sort of forced into service as a regular, and he doesn't really have the bulk, but he is still very quick and very heady. The 2 guys that are outstanding in this game are Carl Banks and then Talley for the Bills. Outstanding players, in a sense overshadowed by the superstars, but still outstanding in their own right.
On 3rd and 8. Right deep down the middle, incomplete. Beebe had a chance. A little speedy wide receiver from Chadron State, who has 5 catches this year and is one of the fastest men in the team. So the Giants defense denies, even though Al Edwards with a great kickoff return to start the second half.
They just have to back up these Giants and keep them funneled near their own end zone to take the pressure off Reich to have to take this team the length of the field when they do get the ball.
Dave Meggett at the 10-yard line, the NFC's top punt returner, averaging 11.5 a return. Fair catch. And the Giants will get the ball at the 20-yard line on the touchback. 23 yards net for Rick Tootin. 43 on the kick. Now here comes Phil Simms and the Giants. The pizza man, Phil Simms. What's the most money you've ever spent on a pizza?
Oh, I say pure, just cheese, $3.95.
Oh, you must
have a little pepperoni and sausage.
Well, you know what, Simms?
$8.99.
Simms is down over $22,000. He has purchased $200 worth of pizzas for 7 straight years on Friday. It's a tradition with the Giants. He said, I inherited it from a backup quarterback, Tom Owen. He said, I didn't realize it would get to these numbers.
Think of the guy he gets the business to.
Rodney Hampton, and with those 3 yards, that is his career high, this rookie. He had nearly 80 yards last week against Minnesota, and that'll put him over the 80-yard mark. Let's go down to O.J. Simpson.
Well, I talked to Dr. Richard Weiss of the Buffalo Bills, and it seems that Jim Kelly has an injury to his medial collateral ligament. He says it might be a slight tear. These injuries tend to heal well, and it maybe, just maybe, he can be back in 3 weeks. No sooner than that.
Here's Hampton trying the center of the Bills defense to the 25-yard line. So it would appear, and these are preliminary reports and things do change, but from the medical side, that Kelly is out for the rest of the regular season. The Bills can only hope they can avoid having to play that first round in a wild card situation, so Kelly would have the extra week to heal.
Well, that win over Miami, if they can get it in Buffalo, would really help. Kelly back for the playoffs. This team will be a potent force. But in the meantime, Reich is going to have to fill the gap by playing football with very little error and counting on his defense and his running game to pick up the slack.
3rd down 5. Batted down as Cornelius Bennett there. Oh, he must have been a basketball player himself, the way he defends. And the flag goes down out at the 31-yard line. Could be against Buffalo. Action from the Bills players not good.
James Williams was number 31, was real upset at something. And most likely holding. It'd have to be. Defensive holding.
And of course, the Bills saying that with a deflection, Maybe it happened after the ball deflected. Referee Haggerty and his crew say no, and the defensive holding call on third down gives the Giants a first down. Boy, you won't see Marv Levy any angrier than that.
That's a tough call.
Wow.
Now, he did have a hold of a part of the jersey for an instant, but the ball was batted.
Gotta call what you see. And it's a first down at the 30 for the Giants. 14-10 Buffalo. We've just started the second half here at the Meadowlands, and Hampton into a crowd. Bentley and others for the Bills.
The crowd's a little impatient. 70,000 people, a little impatient with the play calling. It is so conservative. And the Giants need the lead before I think they can really tighten down and hammer away. They've got to get some points.
I think Mr. Levy has left the multisyllabic terms and become more basic in his debate.
You know, that's all just spent energy, and maybe it's good for the coach to vent that, but it's not going to do a bit of good, obviously.
Second down and a long 7%, changing his play.
Well, he's got the Bear defense up there, which often means throw the ball. Nope.
He gives to Meggett, and Meggett caught from the backside at the 35-yard line. Smith was attacking the play, but it was Bentley from the backside and Odoms who made the stop.
The play the Giants are running is a play that's been in existence for probably 30 years. That's the power play where the fullback will kick out the widest man. They'll double team and pull a guard through. It's been in football for so many years, and the Giants are one of the few teams that still go to it with some effectiveness.
Sims goes to the shotgun. They need nearly 5 for a first down. And the throw to Meggett. Oh, good move. They had him short of the first down, but Meggett, with that little circle reverse, Odoms and Smith make the stop, and now it's Sims that's down. Oh, my. This is becoming a tragic Saturday here at the Meadowlands for quarterbacks. And
now,
Smith,
same kind of thing, but it didn't look like Sims had any real contact on that knee. You know, he limped a little bit right at the end of the first half after one of those plays, and we spotted it, and it may just have aggravated that knee. I don't think he was hit that time, and it was damaged that way. He threw it off his back foot as though his knee was bothering him, and then he must have turned it on that artificial surface.
So Jeff Hostetler from West Virginia, the backup to Sims, comes in. He's thrown the ball 25 times all season.
Well, this is a so-called gut check for both teams. Lose their quarterbacks. Everybody has to pick up from there.
First down at the 44. The Giants trailing 14-10. Hostetler, a little play action. And he dives to the Bills' 49. Boy, Bobby Knight has to like that call. Bill Parcells is saying that his old buddy used to scout for Knight at West Point when Knight was the basketball coach and Parcells on the football staff. Says Bobby Knight says you're not using enough deception. Use that bootleg. Use that roll by the quarterback off a fake.
Then, of course, Bill talks about Bobby Knight's style of basketball.
Says how much deception.
Absolute, solid, fundamental
defense. Second down and 3. Hampton. First down at the 42.
Roberts did a beautiful job, the left guard, on Bruce Smith of hitting him and turning him. Now, that's one of the problems Smith has, is the fact that he'll take one side of that blocker or the other and turn him. There's Sims. I bet he'll want to get back in that game. You watch.
Uh-oh, that doesn't look as if he's happy with how he feels. Hampton now with 86 yards, his best pro game, this talented rookie, the former Georgia Bulldog. First down pass for Hostetler to Hampton. He's to the 36, a gain of 7 more before Bennett and Bentley can apply the stopper.
They like Hostetler's throwing ability. He doesn't move as well as Sims has in the past, but they like his arm, and they think he's a guy that has a future. But in talking with Bill Parcells, honestly, before the game yesterday, he's worried about the change of guard when Sims does step out of it after a number of years of playing. Bill is in his 12th year, so Hostetler, they're not sure is the guy that'll replace him. So my guess is they've got sort of a mixed feeling about his future. But right now, the Giant future is out there for him.
Hampton, he's the workhorse, and into the pile, could have the first down. Hostetler, a very bright player. In fact, he was a Rhodes Scholar candidate, academic All-America at West Virginia. In fact, smart enough to marry the coach's daughter, Don Neyland's daughter, Vicky. And he came into relief, wasn't it the Phoenix game? And Sims went out and rallied the Giants from a deficit to beat the Cardinals, who had a real design on an upset.
The problem for both quarterbacks is the fact that they haven't practiced extensively, probably for some time. So this first game like this, they're not going to be as sharp as they normally would be.
Just short of a first down. And Sims stays on that hot seat, the warmed bench across the way. So can't really read much by that, because Kelly was going to stay as well, only to learn that he really had suffered a serious injury when he thought, I guess, that it was just the pain of being hit, and then that pain wore away, and while cheering for a punt and jumping up and down, then he really felt the seriousness of the hit.
Well, the way Sims is sitting there, he's
fumble, and Hostetler falls on it forward for a first down.
The way Sims was sitting there, he wasn't expecting to get any more action. You can see that. They're not even talking to him about the knee.
He sprained his ankle in that Phoenix game when Hostetler came in, and it may have been an aggravation of the old injury.
Because they're not paying a lot of it. The snap from center went right between his hands. It didn't look like he was ready to have the ball snapped. And of course, that comes from a lack of time with attention paid to you.
But it fumbled forward, and Hostetler recovered for a yard gain and a first down. 7:10 left in the third. The Giants, a field goal favorite, the home field advantage, if you will, coming in. Trail by 4, 14-10.
Again, the backup quarterback, they would tell him, they would be thinking as coaches, don't blow the game. Don't hurt us with your play. Just do your job.
Incomplete as he tried to hit tight end Howard Cross. Darryl Talley, the linebacker, drifting back on the coverage.
Cornelius Bennett took an inside pass rush and just got the heat on Hostetler. He is so quick, so explosive.
What did Marv Levy said, that he slipped into one of those tryouts just to time possible new players for the Bills, and what did he run?
4.5 flat. I mean, not like 4.52 as these scouts will tell you, but 4.5 flat. And this guy is 235 pounds. He's a great one. Everybody knew it when he came out of college.
Hampton. Gene Conlon, and there goes some more flags, and they've got another face mask. Williams and Conlon with a tackle. So this drive for the Giants progressing, and the Bills have contributed with a couple of critical penalties.
This is the character part we talked about early, Dick. They're going to have to play a different way if they're thinking of championships. Jumping all over the field, being upset, picking up the flag, throwing it back, arguing with officials. You just don't finally win a championship that way. The problem with it, something can go wrong. This is the critical factor. The Giant character is so important.
Watch 96 after the play. Leon Seals, he gets the unsportsmanlike. Here comes the face mask on Conlon. And now when the flags go down, 96 Seals apparently picked it up and fired it, and that is the unsportsmanlike.
Leonard Smith, number 46, had a chance to put that play away early, and he came forward and then just stopped.
Sprained foot is has the injury, Phil Simms, from the Giants public relations report, and may return.
Well, he could play in the shotgun, Dick, if they had to in the fourth quarter, is my guess. He could sit back there and try to get that ball off and use his experience to make the difference. But he'd certainly be vulnerable to Bennett and Talley and everybody else.
With the penalty all the way to the 12-yard line, first down Giants, looking for a touchdown that would give them the lead. Hampton met by Bentley, but boy, Hampton is strong. After the hit, gets 2 more yards.
Well, Reisenberg and Bravaro are taking steals and knocking him back off that line about 3 yards. That gives them a chance to break inside that block. Mark Bravaro, one of the great blocking tight ends in the league. He's had 5 surgeries, and that's slowed him down some. Minor surgeries, of course. But this is a real force in football. And that he's right at the critical point of these blocks when they run to their right. He can do just about everything. And some people didn't rate him that high in the draft, but has he come up to be one of the best of our time?
Steele in the 4th round 5 years ago. On second down, Hampton again. Inside the 5. Seals and Bennett made the tackle, but now the Giant offensive line really getting off the ball and beating the Bills to the punch.
Just going to that right side, and you've got to give a lot of credit to Moore and Reisenberg on the right, the blockers. They're doing an excellent job there of sustaining it, and then when the ball carrier comes by, all they can do is fall back off. The defenders fall back off and make the tackle, but in the meantime, he's making 5 yards.
Third down and 1 as Hampton 3 yards from his first century as a pro. (14-10) Buffalo. 5 minutes left in the third period. Otis Anderson stopped for a loss. Good play by the rookie Williams on the left corner.
Williams penetrated and got there before the blocker got there. So Carthon really couldn't block him. Now, if they'd done that somewhat earlier, if Smith had done it, they wouldn't be in this position. But those defensive backs have got to get across that line and explode forward and get there really before the blocker wants to block them.
So Barr will try the short field goal. He hit on a 23-yarder in the first half. Still makes his home in the Pittsburgh area. Said he liked to finish his career back in Cleveland, where he had his biggest years. Still a little bit pained by the fact that the Browns let him go. And he hooks that one just through. And with 4:07 left in the third, the Buffalo lead is 1.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Today Chevrolet, who invites you to see why more people are winning with the heartbeat of America. By Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares for Christmas shopping. By Bugle Boy Company, because any closet without Bugle Boy is an empty closet. And by Canon, photographic consultant to the National Football League.
Giants within 1, 14-13, a typical Giant drive, nearly 9 minutes, 16 plays to get the field goal. That's Don Smith. Good running for Smith. Tampa Bay's second pick in '87 out of Mississippi State, and the emergency quarterback in case something should happen to Wright. Timeout, Buffalo.
Bo Jackson around the corner and down the sideline, and there he goes.
Their weaknesses.
History shows that if you feature a halfback, you don't win Super Bowls.
How good are the LA Raiders? Bill knows, and Sunday you will too. 12:30 Eastern on NFL Live.
There's the third-string quarterback for the Giants, Matt Cavanaugh, the former Pittsburgh star, not in uniform. Should they have to go to emergency, Mark Ingram, the wide receiver, would go under center for the Giants. We told to Don Smith, the running back for Buffalo, is their emergency quarterback. Wright starts at his own 33. 14-13 Buffalo, late in the third. And Wright goes down. Leonard Marshall. 4.5 sacks on the year for Marshall. And a Bill injured on the play. Keith McKellar, the tight end.
That sack was a result of Wright not getting a lot of work, being a little hesitant, not having the timing, holding the ball too long, and Marshall got to him. Now Marshall is going to come from the right of the screen and come right underneath, all the way underneath, and Wolford is just not able to take him. Wolford comes off on Taylor later, but indecisiveness on everybody's part of the Buffalo Bills.
Timeout with 3:53 left in the third. Starting quarterback, Giants, foot injury, not believed to be serious, could play today. Doesn't look as if Phil is. And Jim Kelly, quarterback, Buffalo, serious knee injury, may be out for the rest of the season. After the sack, 2nd and 19, and this crowd now trying to help the Giant defense. Wright goes long, has a man open, Beebe. First down at the 31 of the Giants.
Now, how could that happen? They rushed 4 people, and Beebe just ran right by Perry Williams, just ran right by him. So 40. It must have been a blown coverage or something, Dick. Good protection. Look, he just throws it up. Not there at all. So Williams must have been fooled by something or whatever, but so easy.
Good thing the ball was short, or Beebe, who can fly, would have had a touchdown. Williams able to catch up as Beebe waited for the ball to get to him. Right underneath. James Lofton, is that a catch? If it is, Lawrence Taylor has the ball. Nope, no catch. The signal now is he juggled the ball. Lofton did not have control. Incomplete pass.
Well, that's a break. Lofton going straight up the field on a hooking pattern. He slides back out. That looked like a catch to me.
Mark
he had
Collins
full control of the ball.
Ever-present Lawrence Taylor with the ball.
Wright did a fine job of holding it and waiting for Lofton to get open, but it looked like Lofton had control.
Play stands incomplete. Right into the flat. Beebe bounced. That was like a Beebe out of bounds.
That was not a bad job by Wright. He had a corner blitz from his left side, and he knew it was coming. It was picked up. He had his poise. Beebe, with all that speed, is getting a lot of respect. Then he just sets down in his own defense. No one out there with him. Now, the Giants talked about funneling everything inside, and Buffalo hadn't done much of that. That's why he was so wide open. They didn't account for that pattern.
Right again to Beebe. He's got it. First down at the 20-yard line.
The Bills are putting the tight end to the corner, forcing the zone people to stay deep, then throwing short to Beebe out there. The whole game plan for the Giants, as I've said a couple of times now, is to funnel everything inside, and they haven't accounted for that pattern, and Buffalo just figured it out.
Beebe again wide right. He had 5 catches all year, 3 on this drive. One of them the 43-yard play. On first down, leading 14-13. Reich from behind, Lawrence Taylor. Taylor with 9.5 sacks now this year.
Reich took an extra second or two before he threw it and then was going to run with it. But watch how easily Taylor starts up the field. He really isn't rushing that hard. And Parker lets him inside late, and he makes the stop. Now, Parker, the offensive tackle, a backup, is in there, and he was mesmerized by Taylor.
Out of the backfield to Thomas. He could get up and run. There was no contact, and boy, Thomas gives you second and third effort. He really is the complete package at 200 pounds, strong enough to break tackles, good hands, good feet.
That's a screen pass, and Kent Hull is outside making a block. He picks off 2 people, Reasons in particular, and Thomas waits for his block. So Kent Hull is center on a screen pass, wiped out 2 people, and got that first down for him.
Now that's out of first down. Third.
Oh, no.
8.
You got it.
The Taylor sack.
Right.
Driving the Bills back. And on 3rd and 8 with less than a minute to go in the third. Don't know why there's a timeout here.
Well, that assured them really a field goal shot here, which can really help. Get them 4 points ahead.
For that wet ball, and Norwood doesn't have he's accurate but not strong. It'll be a test. The wind, normally a hazard here, not present. Oh, the review then was to see whether or not Thomas was touched while he was down. He bounced to his feet before contact by a Giant. So the play counts. Ball at the 17.
The best move here would be to run the ball between the goalposts right up the middle and kick that field goal.
Right to the tight end. And McKellar, who was injured earlier, gets it to the 11, shy of the first down by 2. Reasons and Jackson with a tackle. There's McKellar. He was NCAA Division II basketball championship team at Jacksonville State of Alabama.
He's really been a project for them. His fourth year of football, really. Third year in the NFL, but they've just took their time, developed him over a period of time, and he's one of the better athletes at that position in the league.
Looks as if the Bills will let the quarter run out and try the field goal at the other end. And so it is 14-13. The Bills lead the Giants. Will return to Giant Stadium after these messages from your local station. 2 years in the USFL after he left James Madison University. He's the Bills' all-time scorer now, and this year he's 18 for 27. This one, normally gimme at 28, but not under these conditions. Wet, heavy ball.
This is his biggest kick of the year right here. Biggest kick of the year for this guy.
29 yards it'll be. Reich holding. He's got it. And on the first play of the fourth period, the Buffalo Bills regain the 4-point advantage. Here at Giant Stadium, Bills 17, Giants 13. Marchibroda, the offensive assistant with backup quarterback Reich. Marchibroda, the last great quarterback in the history of St. Bonaventure University.
You mean they haven't had a good one since? Or
they gave up the program after his junior year.
I'll tell you about Ted, though. The wisdom and the calm professionalism that he has is really going to help Frank Reich in this situation, because
slide in, take your pitch and slide in.
He's going to have to pick up the slack for the next couple of games, and you couldn't ask for a better tutor than Ted Marchibroda.
Well, they've moved back to get the field goal, so each team with 3 points in the second half. The Bills lead 17-13. Hampton with a short kickoff, tackled at the 28-yard line. Let's look at the AFC Central standings, the most contentious of all the races, with Cincinnati, Houston, Pittsburgh tied. The Steelers are in the toughest spot. You see their division record 1-3, and we have games that certainly will impact who goes on to the playoffs tomorrow. Houston will be in Kansas City against the tough Chiefs. DeBerg, how about him for MVP? What a year he's had.
Well, both those quarterbacks.
Moon as well.
Moon, brilliant this year, and DeBerg, great leadership. So that game in itself could be comparable to a championship game.
Cincinnati Raiders, the late game is Hampton looking for 100 yards. It's about 2 on that carry. Jeff Wright, the nose tackle. Central Missouri State made the tackle.
Wright came up the field and almost caught it, but he forced everybody to go deeper, and by the time the ball carrier got to the line of scrimmage, they're all waiting for him. This Bill defense just attacks, and sometimes they're not fundamentally sound or together in what they do. It's not that well coordinated, but as a bunch of individuals, they go after it.
Hampton with his first century, 102 yards with the Giants, and they feel he's going to be potentially a great back, not just a very good one. It is again. Every time he's hit, he gets 2 more yards.
Yeah, he hits and spins. That's the one thing you can coach for a ball carrier is the hit and spin. But that time, Bruce Smith was handled beautifully. He was pushed way inside, and then Wright came outside, Hostetler, to throw the ball. It was just beautifully done. He went inside, Hostetler came out, threw the screen pass.
Darryl Talley, the hit, a yard shy of a first down. 13.5 minutes left. Bills by 4. It's Carthon, and he's met at the line of scrimmage, and it looked like Smith was the man moving from his tackle or in position, slashing inside to stuff it.
It looked like they slanted their entire line to the direction of the backfield formation and were right there waiting for it. Smith's going to go to the inside, right down the line of scrimmage. But look at that entire offensive or defensive line go toward the ball, and they just collapse everything. And everybody's waiting for the ball carrier when he only has to run about 2 yards, and they're waiting for him.
So on 4th and 1, Landeta to punt to Edwards. Punches this one to the 20. Good coverage by Renee Thompson. Thompson from Miami a year ago, and Bill Parcells says he's one of the most valuable players I have. What a special team star. Timeout. Of NFL Charities, Giants president Wellington Mara and Bills owner Ralph Wilson announced an NFL Charities grant to the Lombardi Cancer Center at Georgetown University, making the total commitment $2 million to the center.
Wellington Mara, what a man. Been in the NFL or with the league since 1925. What changes that man has seen.
And Ralph Wilson, all 31 years of the Bills' history, their owner.
Two of the great men in the game. And they've got great teams representing them this year. They really do. And the future looks good for both these teams. Both in very good hands.
But both coaches, Parcells across the way and Marv Levy, his counterpart, have to, in the back of their mind, be wondering about next week. Involved today, but both men with their starting quarterbacks injured. Jim Kelly more seriously than Phil Simms of the Giants. Frank Reich at the helm for Buffalo with 13:09 left in the game, and Buffalo leading 17-13.
The Giants have been going with their two-man line the first and 10 of every series in the second half.
That's Guyton pushing Thomas back. And since the first quarter, the Giants have really done a good job in stopping Thurman Thomas on the ground.
You'll see only two defensive linemen here and here on the inside, right here. Those are the only two. Everyone else is a linebacker, and they just attack, and it's hard to see, hard to decide who to block. Pepper Johnson on the outside.
The throw to Thomas out of the backfield and spins out of bounds at the 23-yard line, shy of the first down by at least 3. Make that the 27. Lawrence Taylor with the tackle.
A lot of poise by Reich that time. He had a lot of people after him and just held the ball until the pattern broke open.
Incomplete. Thomas covered by Taylor, and the Bills will have to give it up.
Again, that was the problem. The pass rush really did that because Reich had pushed against him, and he had to throw off his back foot. The ball fell short.
Looks a lot like Steve Grogan, doesn't he, with the helmet on and all, the eyes. A veteran with the New England Patriots who suffered through a tough season in the twilight of his terrific career.
Reich has got the pressure on both quarterbacks because, as I've said, no practice time really, and then expected to play in a big, tense game like this.
That's a powder keg at the other end in Meggett, and he gets one he can return. 37. And it's Jamie Mueller downfield to stop him at the 45 of the Giants.
Mueller was the only man there, and he made a good, clean tackle. He wouldn't let Meggett fool him. He just got his feet up underneath him and waited on it.
Boy, this weather nice to get that fire going. Sit back tonight and enjoy the lineup on NBC. Amen, Finelli Boys, Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and the amazing Bob Hope in his 1990 Christmas show from Bermuda. You don't suppose he'll have any good-looking women on that show, do you?
Never has.
Never has he? Says that's what keeps him young.
That's what keeps us tuning in.
So from the 45, Rodney Hampton. He's been the rushing star, over 100 yards. Play action. Hostetler wide open is Howard Cross. And the tight end is to the Buffalo 34.
Cornelius Bennett thought he had a sack. Then he realized he'd better get there because it was a bootleg. You see the fake to our right and Hostetler coming out. No one there to cover him. It was just like it was unaccounted for in the defense. They thought it might not ever happen.
Cross, who has caught only 6 balls all year from Alabama.
That was a good call from the sideline. Excellent call.
21 yards on the play. 11:55 left in the game. Fake again to Hampton. Going long for Baker. And it's out of bounds. They went after Nate Odoms. And he's tough on that man coverage.
He's sort of a self-professed great player, but he is darn good. I'd put him in the category of Ross of Kansas City. Smallish, powerfully built guys, but they're very, very quick.
He's from Wisconsin, 5'10" and a solid 188. He played 2 years with Al Toon, the Jets receiving star. They don't throw often in his area. Fake to Carthen. Hostetler, he likes to run. Does it well. First down. Let's get a report on Phil Simms from OJ.
Well, I went over to the Giants side of the field, and I was trying to get the team doctor's attention. He couldn't come over because he was busy at the time, but the gentleman standing next to him, whose name I didn't get, walked over to me and said that Phil Simms simply had a sprained ankle. It was bothering him a lot and that he would not come back into this football game.
OJ, that was the injury that Simms suffered against Phoenix when Hostetler, in relief, led the Giants to victory from behind.
Hostetler did something on that play that Simms wouldn't do. He really was decisive on where he would run.
Hampton drilled in the backfield by Bruce Smith. Boy, is he a load at 267. He moves like a 220-pound linebacker.
He's a factor throughout the game, too. Again, his inside move all the way across the line of scrimmage. Even Bart Oates couldn't slow him down. He comes right along the line of scrimmage to the inside and catches everything that goes the other way.
Won the Outland Trophy as the top collegiate lineman out of Virginia Tech 5 years ago. And he had 6.5 sacks as a rookie, then 15, 12, 11, and this year an NFL high 19.
Well, he's lost 10 pounds in this year compared to last, and he thinks that quickness has made the difference.
Second down and 9. And open at the 14-yard line. And it is Mark Ingram.
Gee, that's a nice job by Hostetler. It really is. He times the ball. He sets up knowing that Smith is right behind him, chasing him, and he just throws a nice, accurate pass to the outside.
Leonard Smith made the tackle short of the first down. Ingram's first catch, only 18 receptions coming in for this #1 pick out of Michigan State.
Well, the Giants have thrown so much more to their tight ends and backs this year that they've got more continuity, but the outside guys just aren't getting the ball nearly as much.
Giants trail by 4, 17-13. Under 10 minutes left in the fourth. Hampton. Flag down and a rare penalty flag.
A safety blitz from the outside. Leonard Smith really made that stop. He came all the way from the outside and got the play from behind.
At close to a first down, and the Bills won't have a measurement here. They want to push the Giants back 10. Knowing Parcells, even if it is short by inches, Bill might go for it anyway. Some of that moisture into the microphone of Haggerty, apparently on Cratch. Bob Cratch. That's in the holiday spirit. Maybe Dickens had him in mind.
Cratchit,
who's Ebenezer in this whole plot? I guess any official would do, right? Back at the 23. Third and 12. And Hostetler covers it back at the 43, and that takes the Giants out of field goal range. I
was watching Smith. What happened, Dick? The ball just go off his knee or something?
Here's Oates with a snap. Oh, way off the mark. That was headed for Secaucus.
Well, Oates, I could see, was concerned about Jeff Wright, who was playing right in front of him. But that ball was a totally missed snap. It looked like it slid along the ground before it came off the ground, and
Smith,
just bad.
Right there to down him.
You hope for his sake that it's a wet ball, because otherwise it's no excuse for it.
Instead of a field goal, Landeta will have to punt with 8:49 left in the fourth. Edwards lets it go. And there's Thompson, the omnipresent specialist for the Giants, couldn't get there in time. Timeout.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Oldsmobile. Stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. By IBM. Whatever your size, whatever your needs, IBM is working to bring you the best solutions. By Olympus, makers of 35mm cameras and video. And by Miller Lite, with a reminder to please think when you drink this holiday season.
8:38 left in the fourth quarter. Buffalo with a 17-13 lead. Ball at the 20-yard line on the punt into the end zone by Landeta. Remember, next week it's Miami at Buffalo. First time the Dolphins had to play a December game in Buffalo in their 25 meetings in Buffalo. Right going long for Lofton. Incomplete, and Lofton did a good job of denying Collins the interception.
Great coverage by Collins. He got inside Lofton and just remained there and forced him along the sideline. But Lofton, on the other hand, over the top to stop the interception. Lofton takes him on, then bends out, but watch Collins just bend back in toward him. It makes it awful tough for Lofton to do much about it except stop the interception.
Ooh, Lofton got away with a face mask.
One thing for sure, Dick, they're going for it. Buffalo's not trying to use the clock. They're not doing anything like that. They're shooting the works. And you'd think they'd be running the ball and trying to take time off the clock.
Reich changing his play. And Thomas drilled again. Herman Thomas, who started with some big yards, now has only 42 yards and 15 carries. They've really smothered him.
Greg Jackson, the strong safety, came up outside that play and made the big stop right there. You see him from the side. So he snuck around behind it, caught it from the side.
Pepper, Bill Parcells said he could be a great one. He isn't yet, but could be.
Yeah, he's on his way to it. Just needs a little more concentration and dedication, in a sense, to become a true all-pro category player.
3rd and 9. Almost intercepted, as again Lawrence Taylor right there. Thomas was too. Taylor could taste that one.
They're all surprised the ball's coming. Frank Reich just threw it into a crowd. Buffalo, the ball came right in between Banks and Taylor. But Buffalo's sort of flippant about what they're doing with the ball now. 2 incomplete passes. Instead of taking time off that clock, they got nothing out of those passes and stopped the clock on top of it.
And now it's Meggett waiting for this one from Tootin. At the 37. And a flag down as Meggett tackled at the 45-yard line with 7:38 left in the final period.
Somebody's going to have to block Jamie Mueller on those punts, because he's making the stops on Meggett every time. And that's no easy chore. He's getting by the man trying to block him and coming up making the stop.
Perry Williams, 23, guilty of the foul. That'll push the Giants 10 yards farther toward their own goal. Midpoint of the fourth quarter, timeout here at Giant Stadium, New York with the ball. Welcome back to the Meadowlands. Buffalo leading 17-13. The Giants took the early lead first possession, marched to a touchdown. Otis Anderson. Buffalo came back on their first possession. Thurman Thomas, a 49-yard play off a screen pass. Eventually it was Kelly to Andre Reed, 6 yards for the score. Then Thomas scored from 2 yards out early in the second to make it 14-7. A Barr 23-yard field goal, 14-10 at the half. They've traded field goals here in the second half, and Buffalo maintaining the 4-point lead. Two backup quarterbacks in action. Carthen having to reach back for that pass, breaking tackles, and turns a 3-yard loss into a 3-yard gain.
That is a deadly throw by Hostetler. But Carthon, when they get back and look at these tapes, they say, please don't throw me the ball that way. He drops it very softly end over into him, and look who's waiting for him. Got everybody there, and somehow he splits them. The back never wants to see that. That's why O.J. Simpson refused to catch a pass. Those kinds of things.
Carthon, what a blocker. He's been in pro football 8 years, 3 in the USFL. 7 of the 8 years, the man he's blocked for gained 1,000 yards or more. Wide open is Baker. Williams can't find him, and finally he trips and falls with a first down at the 47.
Is that guy quick? Generally, the Giant receivers are not rated high, but Baker in particular out of Fresno State, he's just running hitch passes and outlet. But watch what he does instinctively. He spins away and has 2 guys overrun him.
Well, Fresno State's had a good run of receivers, haven't they? Henry Ellard, Stephon Page of the Chiefs, and then Baker followed them. The Bulldogs.
Jim Sweeney. There's a design rollout.
And he gets it away to the tight end Cross, and Cross scrambles to a first down at the 40.
That's crazy stuff. The throw, everything around that play, it just took resourcefulness on the part of the athletes. Now, it's a design sprint out to get away from Smith primarily, but look at Hostetler go between one guy, throw it over another one's head.
And Cross at 245 pounds, just bowling his way, wouldn't give up.
Now, Cross is the future after Bavaro, because he approximates Bavaro other than the blocking technique. And he's going to learn that as time passes.
First down inside the Bill 40. Hampton. Smith gets him from one side, and from the other, it appeared to be Darryl Talley.
Smith is playing the game of his career in a sense. He's played comparable football games, but against this opposition with these stakes, you see him come to the outside and then all the way around the block. See, he's never out of a play. And Elliott, thinking that Smith had run past the play, went on to block someone else. But with Smith, you've just got to stay with him.
Loves basketball, he says. I've been watching the Lakers on NBC. Loves Magic Johnson. Lots of time. Nugget was open.
Everything was good for Hostetler. His instincts good. He went left, he went right, he avoided the rush, saw his man open and bounced him the ball. And that's one of the problems with a quarterback. If he starts running, he almost has to stop and relax for just an instant before he throws.
Now, your former quarterback Montana does that so well. He'll roll away from trouble, plant, step into the pass, not just kind of throw drifting to the sideline.
Sure, when those muscle groups are sort of antagonistic to a throw, so you're running and trying to throw, and you're bound to be inaccurate.
Ooh, that kinesiological approach, that's what does it, huh?
Look at that.
I think a lot of things. Hostetler on third down to Baker. Is down. Baker, if it counts, has a first down at the 22.
I don't know where. Oh, boy. It looked like there was a hit late, but it's going the other way. Baker came out of the backfield that time. He snuck out of the backfield and was uncovered. The wide receiver lining up in the backfield.
Offensive interference. You rarely see that.
Offensive pass interference, number 84.
Rookie Troy Kiles Kyles guilty of pushing in the defensive secondary.
Troy Kyles, I believe, wanted to pick his man off, but it looks like he got off balance and just ran right into him. You see him falling down, and I don't think he meant to actually block. I think he got off balance. But one way or the other, it was a pick.
And it was a factor in the play.
Yep.
It cleared the way for Meggett. So back to the 47 of Buffalo. And that's a big penalty because 3rd down and 18 now. 4:37 left. Buffalo by 4. Hostetler running and doesn't get much this time. Smith got a piece of him first, and then the tackle secured by Darryl Talley. Boy, that's a 1-2 force. That linebacker Talley, so underrated, and Smith, well, he's not overrated.
Talley is in beautiful position on his own, but watch him come forward. Smith, again, had 2 people blocking him, but the minute Hostetler started running, Smith came right around both of them, as usual. You can almost count on it.
Landetta. Was he in the end zone when he touched the ball? That's the question. Apparently not. The ruling, he's downed it at the 1-yard line. And the officials will talk about that and might be reviewed. His foot was on the line when he touched the ball from that angle, and they'll take a second look at it. This is the rookie again trying to make amends. And Troy Kyles' game effort, we'll see if it is allowed. In the meantime, we will take a break. 3:54 left. Buffalo with the ball and a 17-13 lead.
The Raiders. Boomer and Bo. Sunday.
Early in the game, Thurman Thomas was a factor. You see Phil Simms, perhaps the reason why he stayed out here in the cold is to be an advisor counselor to his partner Hostetler, and the ruling, instant replay officials, that the ball was indeed a touchback at the 20-yard line. Now let's look at another look at it. Watch the left leg,
right,
or the right leg, is touching the goal line as he tried to knock it back.
Troy Kyles slowed down about the 20-yard line. If he'd have kept running, he'd have gotten there early. That's just inexperience.
They'd like to run the ball now, but Thomas has been ineffective since early in the second quarter. The Giants have keyed in on him. And he gets about 4 on that play, which gives him 7 yards total in the second half. Rushing.
Well, he'll most likely get 5 or 6 more chances if the Bills have their way. Just take him and hammer it and use the clock.
And even those numbers in the first half are misleading because you got to factor in some catches. One, a 45-yard plus catch that led to a touchdown. They really stopped Thomas. Of course, Belichick, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, said we've got to take Reed out of the game, got to take Thomas out of the game. They're the 2 guys who can really beat you. Frank Reich for the injured Jim Kelly. And it apparently will be Reich right to the playoffs. Thomas, nothing. Clock running under 3 now.
Great job by Leonard Marshall coming into that play. He wasn't blocked, but he really made a clean, sharp tackle.
Giants will spend a timeout right here to stop the clock at 2:58.
There is a fine football player right there. This guy is up and down the sidelines, leading his team. He and Banks of the Giants are 2 sort of underrated guys in a sense because they're truly outstanding players. Darryl Talley, he plays alongside Smith and does a lot of the audible calls for Smith to run his different stunts. Meanwhile, there's Banks, number 58, who is a super also.
3rd down, a long 5. Thomas. It's It's going to be close. He's hit right at the 30-yard line. If they mark it on the 30 or beyond, first down. Let's see where they put the nose of the ball. Right tickling the 30-yard line. This will be an interesting measurement. No, I guess not. If it's touching the line, it's a first down. They don't have to measure.
Boy, that looks short of the line. Oh, no, it's on the line, Dick. My eyes. What is wrong with me? Well, this is fine running. Excellent job of blocking by Mueller. And it's on the line.
A injured Giant is Greg Jackson. Might be a cramp the way they're working on that calf. I don't know. The tender ankle there, you see it was wrapped. A reminder again tomorrow, NBC doubleheader and some key games as we go toward the playoffs. Houston, Kansas City, Seattle. After an 0-3 start, still a factor. Miami, of course, watching today and undoubtedly rooting for the Giants. That showdown next week. Pittsburgh, still a chance for the Steelers. They're at New Orleans. Indianapolis and the Jets. That'll be just for fun here at Giant Stadium tomorrow. And then Cincinnati and the Raiders. Boomer against Schrader and Bo Jackson, and both those teams trying to stay atop their respective divisions. And San Diego at Denver. Bill Walsh will join the NFL Live crew. 12:30 it all begins tomorrow.
Just put my face instead of Costas there.
Is Bob really going to take off and go ice fishing?
They're putting him into an ice fishing contest up in Minnesota. He'll be there for 3 weeks.
Is that the 2-hole or the 3-hole rule there in Minnesota?
Well, he'll find all that out and we'll get a report. But you know that...
I think, know what? I just got a word here. Wait a minute, Bill. Yep, that's right. No, they're going to send O.J. up to Minnesota.
O.J., right. Well, he's been there before.
O.J. loves the weather experiences. So the first down and clock at 2:18. Did the Giants... Yes, the Giants did use a timeout there.
Every second counts now, and I'm sure that's what they're arguing about, whether that clock ran before they got the timeout and the clock stopped.
Bill Parcells arguing as if he felt that they didn't stop the clock soon enough.
Parcells, privately, when you visit with him, he's not sure at all whether he's going to continue coaching. And my guess is, as he pointed out in the pregame interview, that 20-odd weeks into a season, and you're fatigued in so many ways.
It's a bad time to ask any coach if he really is happy.
You're sort of emotionally spent, too. Your nerves are just sort of shredded. And once he gets back and looks at next year, I think he'll be back at it. He's one of the very best football coaches in the game today. He's not a predictable guy, and you can see that right now. From a soft, unassuming guy to a damned aggressive guy and sharp-witted guy, and his players really respond to him.
He's claiming 2:28, not 2:24, fighting for those 4 seconds. Well, the Tampa Bay job is open, as we've all heard. Any chance that he might leave the Giants and go to another team and coach?
See a lot of names associated with that.
Sure do. One in particular. I just want to be the special teams coach. I'm going to bring back the drop kick. Thomas. And on first down, Thurman Thomas with about 3. And will the Giants spend their final timeout here or take the 2-minute timeout? Nope. They'll use their last one here. So that'll give us a chance to visit some of our favorite people. This time out at 17:13. Where New York has really enjoyed the home field advantage. In fact, Bill Parcells' team has lost only one of the last 17 regular season home games. That was to the Eagles. They did, of course, lose in the playoffs last year to the Rams. And something's already happened today that rarely does. The Giants giving up a touchdown in the first quarter. Remember, Buffalo scored on its first possession. That was only the second time all year the Giants have had a touchdown scored on them in the opening period.
Well, it seems that Buffalo has sort of melted down the Giants. Just sort of mesmerized them in the second half.
Beat them at their own game. Here's Thomas protecting the football, shy of the first down, and that'll take it to the 2-minute timeout. So 2 minutes will be left. 5 yards to go on third down for Buffalo, and the Giants without any more timeouts to play with.
the Chicago Bulls. Christmas Day on NBC.
It will not be a merry day in Chicago.
Darryl Talley. He's not much of a basketball player, but you could get a pretty good team together on this Buffalo club. In fact, they have 5 former All-State, 2 little college, small college All-Americas. Kelly, All-State Pennsylvania. Bruce Smith, All-State Virginia. McKellar was a Division II championship team. Metzlar's Division III at Wabash. And Hull was an All-State Mississippi player. On 3rd and 5. The Giants stop Thomas, so Buffalo will give the Giants a chance to come back. They'll let the full 45 seconds click away, and the Giants will get the ball at around the 1-minute mark.
Good, solid call by the Bills. Unlikely they'd get the first down, but they can get 40 seconds off that clock, help their field position a little bit.
And the Giants with a backup quarterback, Sims an injured ankle, and no timeouts left for Hostetler.
If they do come out of this with a win, the Bills will have demonstrated that they're for real, losing Kelly as they have, and playing that entire second half with character, something that people have questioned at one point or another, and taking on an established winner, champion.
Bills take the delay of game to spend every second, so 1:09 left on the clock. By the time Meggett gets his hands on it, it'll be close to the 1-minute mark. Of course, Meggett can change things in one swift run.
Well, they're going to have to block Mueller on this play. Number 41 is going to be coming down the field, and the previous 2 punts he made a clean stop by himself on Meggett.
Mueller lines up as the left guard. Ooh, almost blocked. A bad kick. It goes out of bounds at the Giant 43. 1:04 left. The Giants have it down by 4. Here's Bob Costas.
Well, considering the field position, Dick, this one is far from over. The Giants still have a crack at it, but whenever it ends, we'll be here with the post-game show, and it might be an extended program. Looks like we'll have about a half hour. O.J. Simpson will be here live from Giant Stadium with an update on Jim Kelly's condition. We'll talk with Will McDonough, as always, and we'll also have time to chat with Paul McGuire. Should be a truly enlightening conversation in that case. Back to the Meadowlands.
Of course, Paul McGuire has so many things in common with Marv Levy, the Buffalo coach. Stetler in the middle of the play, and that'll allow the clock to run as the catch by Lionel Manuel at the Buffalo 42 with 52 seconds.
They should stop the clock. They did.
Now they start it again. To the sidelines, Baker steps out at the Buffalo 33. 41 seconds to go.
Hostetler's handling his team very well, no question about that. But they're going to have to get something well down the field and out of bounds at the same time. They can afford maybe one play in the middle of the field, and that'll eat up about 25 seconds if they do it, or even more.
Sims, injured foot. Cooley watching from the back row. Hostetler repeat his comeback performance against Phoenix this year. Oh, Meggett. That one almost would have been better not to have been called.
They're taking too much time on this one. See, that play, Dick's going to take too much time off that clock.
Hostetler is going to ground it here, it would appear. Yes. With 24 seconds to go. And the ball at the 26 of Buffalo, 17-13. A field goal won't do it for the Giants. We said Levy, a lot in common with McGuire. Did you know that they, well, both involved with Buffalo? McGuire, one of the great punters in the history of the game at Buffalo. They both worked at ESPN as announcers. Levy and McGuire both work at NBC. Yep. Both had as their play-by-play man Marv Albert.
Well, that really connects everything.
They are not both Phi Beta Kappas, however.
I think everyone in the nation knows that. Marv is.
On 2nd and 10. Open. Oh, almost intercepted by the rookie James Williams. That pass seemed to float as wide open was Manuel on the sidelines. That would have been ideal. He was down around the 7-yard line.
Well, Manuel had to stay by the sideline, Dick. He couldn't leave the sideline, so he had to reach out for the ball. Because if he'd have been tackled in bounds, the game would have been over. So he had to wait out there. And it gave them a chance to intercept it. Williams made a nice move on it. He'll take another play just like that, throw it earlier.
19 seconds left, 3rd and 10. Incomplete. Well covered, Manuel, by Clifford Hicks, an extra defensive back, picked up just a couple of weeks ago from the Rams off the waiver wire. So now it's down to one play. Lawrence Taylor and the Giants ever so close to suffering a rare loss here at Giants Stadium. But the big loss of the game may be that will have to be absorbed by the Buffalo Bills. Jim Kelly, although Frank Reich certainly didn't make any crucial mistakes, led the club, kept them there, kept the lead. Look at the end zone this time. Incomplete, and that'll do it. The 9 seconds left. The Bills take over on downs, and they can celebrate.
Well, it's their first step toward credibility and being a viable Super Bowl candidate and a Super Bowl contender. A team that could play well in the Super Bowl, provided they have Kelly.
Good coverage, no one open. And the Bills on that 4th down, the team togetherness. And it was a very important victory for them. They're the second cousins up north in Buffalo. They don't get the praise and adulation that those that play here in this metropolitan area, the Giants, receive. But they've earned their respect today. A 17-13 win. Buffalo stays atop the AFC East. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NFL on NBC, John Faratzis. The Bills and Giants today, directed by John Gonzalez. Associate director, John McGinnis. The production associate, Carol Larson. Carol Larson, the technical manager, Bill Perinello, the technical director, Mitch Keller. Our thanks to Elliot Cow, Mike Elber, and Frank Sikowski here in the booth, and all the rest of the men and women, many who weren't exactly comfortable in that rain and sleet that pelted down, especially in this first half. Job well done. And for the Bills, a victory against the Giants. And for their fans, hopes that Jim Kelly, that knee will not be serious and he'll be able to play again come January in the playoffs. They still have to beat Miami to secure that AFC East next Sunday. That's the story here at Giant Stadium. Much more football ahead, so stay with us as we go back to NFL Live and Bob Costas.
All right, Dick, thank you very much. Obviously a marquee victory for the AFC, an away victory for Buffalo on the home field of the Giants and on national television. Miami plays the Seahawks tomorrow. Now, Miami has to win that game at home to increase the importance of the game coming up in Buffalo next week, a game, obviously, the Bills will have to play without Jim Kelly. We're halfway through this Saturday NFL Twin Bill. The Redskins and Patriots tee it up at exactly 4:01 Eastern Time, so we invite you to stay with us until then. Coming up on the postgame show, OJ reports live from Giant Stadium. He'll have player interviews as well as an update, if one is available, on Jim Kelly's condition. As we said, Paul McGuire will join us live from New Orleans. And we'll also look ahead to tomorrow's full slate of NFL games with playoff implications. That and more is next as NFL Live continues.